before your very eyes. As you approached on the narrow dirt pathway that leads from the town into the mountains themselves, through the forest, the strange and ominous fog that had engulfed the village mere hours before suddenly and dramatically pulled back before your very eyes and instead settled on the very edges of the woods themselves. As a quick reminder, the four of you, after being cajoled by a very large man named Butch, decided to go and speak to the Vistani travelers who had recently set up camp just inside the forest itself. We left with you guys actually standing at the entrance to the woods, and that is where we will pick up, with the four of you standing before the dark, ominous woods, watching the fog kind of swirl in between the trees. How do you guys want to proceed?
Well, do we see any kind of like lights in the distance? Can you see the camp?
Behind you, you can dimly see the lights of the town, more specifically the fire, but it looks like that is dying down. Before you, the woods are dark, and the only thing you've heard from them so far, strangely perhaps, it's not even the sound of woodland creatures or birds can be heard. It's the sound of a singular wolf howl.
Okay, guys. I think if we need to go in there, we should pack supplies and not like go there unprepared.
Yeah. How far away is
Aren't
the
we
town?
already at the foot of the forest?
If you remember correctly, the camp is not supposed to be all that far into the forest. It's supposed to be directly adjacent to the road that runs through it.
Oh, yeah. I guess then we should follow the road.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out though. That man wolf must be nearby. It's still alive. Remember?
I can deal with him. Don't stress. It's just a doggy.
Yeah, we chased one off.
Yeah, a doggy who seems to be not taking enough of a hurt from swords.
I mean, I
Just
appreciate the confidence.
He needs a little one-on-one with me. That's all he needs.
So, you guys are looking to head into the woods then?
We are closer to
If I understand.
the camp than we are to the town, right?
At this point, probably.
Alright, then I guess we'll go in. I mean, like, about the wolf, we've chased one off before, we can chase another one off.
Do you have a handout of a map or something?
Not for this particular section because, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. My whole goal with running this was to prepare as few assets myself as possible, and this is not something that is a part of the official Curse of Strahd adventure, and so I do not have an official map for you.
Okay, that's fine.
I promise you that soon I will actually have maps for literally everything, because this is a very, very well-mapped adventure. But for now...
Too well mapped, I would say. Like, overtly, just unnecessarily well mapped. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, for now, at least. Theater of mind. So, you guys are entering into Zvalich Woods. Is there any particular way you enter it? Anything you'd like to make note of before you make your way inside?
I don't know. I probably have entered this forest path many a time. Is there anything out of place that wasn't there before?
I mean, besides the intense fog, no. It is the same kind of eerie, unusually quiet woodlands that it always has been. John, you would know that some of the local legends about this village aren't particularly kind. Um, it's got all of the usual stuff. Fairies and fae live in these trees. Sometimes they'll come out and lure children away. The usual kind of bedtime stories to keep kids from wandering off, that kind of stuff. You've never seen anything like that yourself? And I imagine, as an older man and someone who at this point is working as a, constable of the village, probably in your youth you spent some time hunting out there, maybe doing a little bit of ranging. It's not a fully familiar place to you, but it's not unexplored territory, so to speak. The fog does give it an ominousness that even you, as someone who's a little more familiar with this place, can't help but feel. It's hard to shake that something is very wrong here.
I mean, we've already seen what's wrong with this place. So, yeah, let's light a torch because, maybe monsters are scared of the fire. So my fire bombs are really effective against it. So light a torch so I can see and then move into the forest.
I'm gonna keep an eye out for anything hostile.
Shit. Are you leading
Okay.
the way, Balthazar?
Yeah, sure, I'll lead the way.
I'm gonna jump in front of you, Balthazar.
I'm thinking that the constable should be in front.
I'm sorry, you're... Balthazar, you're very, very squishy.
It's meant to be a
So-
compliment, of course.
How about me and the constable will go up front, and you two stay behind us? Either that, or if we're going in a line, one of us up front, one at the back.
I think I broke up for a second there. Are you guys saying?
No, Balthazar's
Hello?
trying to lead the way,
Yeah,
being squishy.
yeah, it's fine. The constable can lead. Yeah.
But the torch is a good idea, though. Light is always good.
So I think I'm breaking up. I'm not hearing what
Oh,
you
you
guys
should
are saying. Hang on.
restart.
I was saying the constable can lead.
We'll give him a second, but what I'm getting from you guys
Hello?
is marching order looks like the constable and Kaylen near the front, with Fiona and Balthazar in the back, departing into the forest with just one of you with a torch.
I got dark vision.
I only
don't
have
need
3
no
torches,
torch.
so I'm gonna keep them.
I see.
Well, look at this filthy non-human with his dark vision and shit.
Oh, shut you.
With his sharp ears and his sharp ears and his sharp vision. See how it
Yeah.
is.
Oh, hang on.
Bah, filthy,
I have
heatless.
light. I'll ask the constable. Constable John, would you like me to light up your shield or your armor? Maybe it'll give us a light around you. You can be our beacon.
Alright, I don't see why not. I'm gonna be the one leading the
Alright,
way
so I'll
anyway.
touch Constable John's shield and light it up.
Sure. Constable, she reaches out a hand, touches you use a buckler, don't you?
Yes.
Yes, reaches out and touches your buckler, and then from the center, almost like, how do I put it? A soft, radiant glow begins to spread from the center of your shield towards the edges.
Did you
It's,
say radiant?
and the
Sorry?
description.
Kaylen triggered by it.
I
But
just see light and I turn my eyes away.
it glows with a soft, warm light, more like sunlight than like the light of a fire. If we had to be real descriptive here, I might even say it looks a little bit more like almost like the light from a firefly.
Okay.
Yes, it casts light like a dim torch, and obviously it's nice.
Thank you kindly.
All right. So it is that the four of you enter the swirling mists and the dark canopy of the Zvalich Woods. I imagine you guys march pretty close together, even with the glowing shield and torches, and in the case of Kaylen, his superior elven eyes. The intensity of the fog makes seeing anything too far away very difficult. And you imagine that under the right circumstances, even with lights, it would be very easy to become separated from one another. You march down the dirt road for a little while. 5 minutes pass in silence, then 10. And Constable, something doesn't seem right. You have seen where the Vistani have camped in the past. Upon Butch's statements, it seemed like they had camped in the same place. And at this point, you probably should have reached to the edge of their camp by now. Another 2 or 3 minutes pass. And you still haven't found it. Let me ask you guys something. Been walking for nearly 15, almost 20 minutes perhaps. What's going through your head right now? Your character's head specifically.
Well, what's going through my head is I'm gonna ask the constable, how far is it? They said that it's kind of close by. We've been walking for like quite a while.
Yeah, so like I sort of bring the party to a slow stop, and I'm like, a sword. There's you where they set up shop.
Fiona's gonna ask him, are there animals around here?
But it's not there.
Are there animals in this
Is there
here
any what?
forest?
They're supposed to be.
So, well, logically, there's only two conclusions. The Vistani have moved their camp, or you're fucking lost. Like, there's a slight hint of desperation in Balthazar's father. Oh, he says that we're lost.
There's no way we're lost. We're just the other way. We should reach the edge of the forest, no problem.
Alright, so Constable, we are exactly where you.
I am definitely sure. I've head out here to talk to the Vistani plenty of time. Season. So frequently.
You didn't happen to drink ale, did you?
Brother, it's the Middle Ages. Everybody drinks ale, even children.
Exactly my point. So, I'll ask you again. Are you sure we are where you think we are?
I would be less sure if I had less alcohol in me right now, I'll tell you that for certain.
That concerns me.
But I am fairly sure. And as I say that, I'd like to just look around for any signs of like human or not human, but person activity, I guess. Like signs of like a camp or whatever.
Sure. I assume you take like a step to the side of the path and maybe, take a moment to examine the area.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a perception check, but also give me a nature check.
Okay. Just pull up my thing. Perception and nature. Perception. It's nature.
Okay. So you step off the path for a moment and you start to look around, and it's almost immediately that you notice something is very wrong, Constable. As you examine the tree in front of you, you're very confused. The Zvalich woods that you know are mostly deciduous, especially as you near Willoughby itself, and slowly as you get into the actual mountainous portion of the area itself, kind of give way to conifers. The tree before you right now is coniferous. Pine tree, if you will.
Yeah.
If you've only been walking for 20 minutes, and you have only been walking for about 20 minutes, you should not be seeing pine trees.
So like tightening my grip along the way, along the hilt of my weapon, I'm like, that is weird. Something's not right here.
Let me.
We're farther than we should be. I think we need to head back.
Let me check the area out. Just wait here. Can I roll an Arcana check?
An Arcana check? What are you trying to figure out?
Trying to sense if there's any magical disturbance in the area that would have caused us to see to not be able to see something. Example, like someone's used some sort of magic to hide some sort of camp, or use some sort of magic.
For something like that, I would ask for the use of a spell, specifically detect magic or see invisibility. Arcana is usually for specifically knowledge about magical effects themselves. If you're asking me if magic could be used to hide a camp, or could be used to disguise the area around you, could be used to make the path feel longer than it really is, no need to roll. The answer is an obvious and resounding yes.
Okay.
And did you say whether there were signs of a camp or? You
do not see any.
Okay.
I will also give you that I'll give you this though. When you return to the road, you're a well-trained man. You've been down. You examine the dirt path itself, and unless you are mistaking what you see for your own footprints, which you're fairly confident you're not, it does look like some kind of wagon and a number of footprints passed through this area at some point. It is difficult to say when.
So, Constable, looks like there's something else going on here.
And I don't like it. I think we should head back and re-examine the situation.
No, that would be illogical. I think we should keep heading forward and keep on our toes. There's no point heading back when that would just
Can
be
we even go
backtrack.
back at now?
Yeah, we should just follow the tracks.
Okay, listen, guys. I got a theory. Hear me out on this. What if whatever's happening? I like using reverse psychology a lot, and think about this for a second. What if whatever's happening, say if someone's doing this on purpose, they would be expecting us to give up and turn around.
as your GM, let me say that I absolutely adore the plan of continuing forward.
So why don't we use reverse psychology? So we know that they're expecting us to turn around because we give up and we're never going to reach where we want to reach. We just keep going forward and see where it leads.
So you broke up there for a second. Well,
So GM, does the fog look purple now, or is it like white color?
Yeah, the fog is still that like ominous shade of like, it's not quite. How do I put this? It's still that bizarre, ominous shade of like borderline sea foam green with slight purple traces running through it. It's very strange looking, especially now that you're inside of it. And it's got that same effect that you noticed in the village, where, sometimes if you're not looking at it too closely, if you've turned your attention somewhere else, it almost looks like things are moving in it. Whenever you go to focus on them, all you find is fog.
No. So I'll try to pull out a dropper with a rubber thing. Press it, release it to create a vacuum, and try to get a sample of the fog.
It's an interesting idea. Cloud in a bottle, if you will.
Yeah.
Do you have? Go ahead and roll your alchemist kit skill, your tool proficiency for alchemy stuff.
All right. So does my natural philosopher apply to this role? Essentially, if it's a skill check made to like identify herbs, potions, poisons, or other alchemical substances, I can add like half of my proficiency to that.
Yeah, I'll give it to you, since that is the express purpose of what you're trying to do here. I will say that to actually fully identify this, you'll probably need a little bit of time.
Yeah, no, I'm just taking the sample right now, and I'll do it later.
so
Okay, that's 23.
Okay, you managed. No. So, as the alchemist, takes his dropper and, collects some of the mysterious fog around you, puts it into one of his little vials. What is the plan? What do you want to do?
Out of all of us, who is the best at hearing things?
My hearing's not been great. Yeah, how it is, old age and all that.
My hearing's not the best, but it's
What do you
decent.
need us to listen out for?
Just listen out as we're walking. Because obviously whatever's here to... If something's here to attack us, they're obviously not gonna, stand right in front of us and go, I'm gonna attack you. They're obviously gonna take the element of surprise.
Alright, we'll keep a watch out.
Good. So my suggestion is we don't listen to what they obviously want us to do. We keep going ahead. Because most people will turn back and give up. And be like, oh, this is not going anywhere, I'm just going to turn back. No. I won't accept that. We're not cowards, we don't give up.
We're stubborn fools.
No, we're not stubborn fools.
So interesting, though. GM, you said it's a coniferous forest. Is the fog affecting the local fauna, flora somehow?
Wouldn't that be something if the fog could somehow change the trees into other kinds of trees?
Oh god, no.
No, I think what's happening is just that
more like subtle
traveling.
changes.
Say that again.
I was saying like more subtle changes, like supernatural, like weird and mutations, discoloration, things like
So you're
that.
talking about like annihilation type shit here.
Yeah, it's like, is it like slowly
Chemical
corrosive or something?
changes?
Is it affecting the vegetation in a weird way?
So here's the thing. If you step off the path a little bit, you can see that they're coniferous trees too. And you don't notice anything strange about them. But if that is your running theory, you're welcome to stray further from the path, farther into the forest, and maybe take a closer look at some of the flora and fauna that might be waiting for you out there.
That seems like a really bad idea. So no.
Alright, so are we all in agreement that we keep going straight ahead and keep
Yes.
our ear out?
Yes. Yeah. Let's follow the tracks. Let's follow the wagon tracks.
You want to follow the tracks? That's interesting. Does someone want to roll me a survival check to follow them?
Wait, tracks or the road?
I have pretty good survival. I can roll that.
Wait, I'll
Say that again?
try to roll survival as well.
Okay. Anyone who wants to can.
But
I have crap so.
yeah, I mean,
So-
logically speaking, since just referring to the geography here, we're definitely headed somewhere. I don't think I've ever strayed this far from into the forest before. Jim, real quick, where does the forest lead? Like on the other out onto the other side.
To your knowledge, not that you've ever followed the road that far, but this road leads straight into the Barovian Mountains, eventually to the pass that takes you into the lands of Barovia itself. I will also note that Constable Jon, as you are kneeling and examining the tracks, you can see your own footprints and the footprints of your companions heading in the direction you guys have been so far. But as best you can tell, based upon the tracks you're looking at here, this wagon and the people traveling with it are headed in the opposite direction, back towards the way you came in.
So I relate that to the group, and I say, I mean, here's the thing. These roads lead to Barovia, which is not the best place to be.
Yeah.
And judging by the trees, I'd say we're well on our path to in that direction. Furthermore, the people we want to talk to is headed in the opposite direction, meaning going towards our side of the woods. So I think we should go back.
Oh, how close are we to Barovia?
Well, judging by the carnivorous trees, we're close to the mountains, which is bad. You don't want to be next to the mountains because it's Barovia. We don't go to.
We go to Barovia. Explain.
Wait, did
Jon-
you say Barovia?
Jon like starts to answer and then pauses. Actually, I don't know why. It's just something that we say.
Let me stop you real quick, Constable Jon. Before you say that, as opposed to that, why don't 3 rumors about Barovia and why you never go there? A long time. Barovia is essentially your neighbor, and while you've never met anyone besides the Vistani who have gone to Barovia in return, I mean, it's been there for a long time. Everyone knows it exists. So tell me, why don't people go to Barovia? Give me some reasons. Give me some interesting tidbits. Tell me what the villagers think.
Okay, number 1, people who go to Barovia usually don't come back. Number two, people who do come back out of Barovia are generally viewed as insane. They blabber about things and creatures that are out of the realm of sanity, let's say. And four, sorry, what number am I? Oh, I'm drunk.
This
Okay.
is further proof.
Alright.
Even John's the only one who's ever returned. He can't even count. He's so
Is
mad.
this why we're
You're on
lost?
number
And three. Listen. All right, listen. And three. When I was just a wee lad, I didn't heed the words of the elders, and I strayed a little bit towards this side, and I heard things.
What
Bad
did you hear, John?
things.
Well, you say you heard things. Are you sure it wasn't just your mind playing tricks on you?
As certain as anyone could be in that state, I admit I was fairly terrified already.
Yeah, when you're terrified, your mind tends to over-exaggerate how terrified you are, and it can sometimes play tricks on you, making
Be
you
it as
think
it may, it's a bad idea to go into the realms of Barovia. We don't go to Barovia.
that's just don't take this in a
I
bad
mean,
way.
I have heard that
But
there's some really, interesting treasures and like rare eyes to be found in Barovia. That's the whole reason I'm here.
trust me, dude, treasures aren't really all that.
Really, and how many treasures?
Not a lot, but a few, and the few I did find, they weren't that great, to be honest.
Exactly.
Alright, well, I mean, I put in life and the life of my people silly like that.
How old are you, Constable?
37.
Wow, you're young.
And how old are you, Mr. High Elf?
I'm 150, if you want to know.
That's real nice. Some things. But I have to talk about it sometime.
Except for a real treasure.
Sick burn. High five. I raise my hand.
Says the squishy one.
I mean, I don't. I'm squishy. That's why I'm like, yeah, fine. I'm just here for what I am.
By the way, DM, as they're like standing around and chatting, Fiona will probably start walking a little more towards the front, like going by the path, probably to the edge of where the torchlight would end. She wants to try see out in, yeah, she wants to try to see past the torchlight. Would she be able to make out more road? How far ahead can she see?
The road continues onward in front of you guys. About as far as you can see, although the fog really cuts into anything past even 20 feet or so.
By the way, DM, how's my urge going?
Your urge, that little niggling voice in the back of your head, is telling you that forwards, further down the path, onwards to Barovia, is the correct direction.
Okay, so we need to go forward, people. It's the right way. Trust me.
Fiona's gonna agree. She's gonna say, I'm not against going to Barovia. I need to find something there too.
Look, everything is down to interpretation. Just because someone doesn't come back from a place doesn't mean it's a bad place. And plus, you also got to put in the factor that rumors are literally just that, rumors. That's why they're called rumors. Rumors
It's
are
all
things that are not
well and
confirmed to be
good,
true.
but I got on this far and like on my instinct, and my instinct says the rumors have something. I'm
Well,
just saying.
why don't we go
Listen,
and
you
find
want to go to Barovia so bad? Why? What's up with that?
Nothing. I just know that going forward is the correct way. Trust me.
I think Barovia, going to Barovia is all, I want to go as well. But right now, we need to find the Vistani camp. And the tracks are not going this way.
Yeah, well, in this kind of situation, buddy, we're not gonna find that camp. So the only logical thing for us to do is keep heading forward.
All
Not
right.
really.
Okay. Let's give you the benefit of the doubt. I'd love to hear your story as to why you'd like to go to Barovia, the place where nobody goes, in a bit. But let's say we wanted to go to Barovia. We, unfortunately, came unprepared.
Well, that's
We
fine.
thought it would be a 15-minute walk, not a long trek through the mountains.
Look, Constable.
Say we wanted to go through the mountain pass to Barovia. We're gonna need to go back first. Anyway,
No, it's fine. We're not really gonna need to go back. We can come back soon, okay? There's no point backtracking. Just to come back this way, we're gonna waste more time.
John, you are aware that the actual trek through the woods, through the mountain pass, and into the other side, at least based on what you heard, is a little over a day's journey.
yeah, and I relay such, and I'm like, there's no way we can get that far without any supplies.
He's right. I don't think we can get any fruits from the trees here.
Alright, that's fair enough.
And this is an odd situation as is. I think we should regroup.
That's a good point.
We're just wasting more time, in my opinion, but that's fine.
I'd hate to go back too, but I guess
So then,
he's really right.
Well, obviously the constable's the DL here, so can't really object.
Alright.
All right, we're all in agreement then.
so then you're headed back the way you came.
Yeah, and keeping an eye on those tracks. Were those tracks visible when we came through?
I'm going to say that you probably didn't even think to look for them, but I will note that you did not see any before you entered the forest, like leading towards the village or anything.
Yeah, and we obviously didn't come across anyone on the road here, so yeah, that is kind of weird. So I guess we're gonna be headed back the other way.
Okay.
I mean, this is the way the tracks are heading, right?
Yes, back towards the way you came in.
Okay, yeah. Let's follow the tracks.
It's very odd because if something were heading towards the way we came, we would have seen it, correct?
Maybe
That
it went
does-
somewhere else, but it's clear that these tracks are coming from Barovia. So somebody or something, some kind of wagon is coming from Barovia. Perhaps you can. I mean, it's probably the best lead if we can track it down.
Okay. Whatever you guys want to do. I assume you guys regroup, reorder your little band into its proper marching order, and you head back the way you came.
Yep.
You guys walk like this again in relative silence. I imagine that the just overwhelming noiselessness of the woods around you, the swirling of the mists, and the ever-darkening sky kind of puts a damper on any kind of friendly conversations you might have. 10 minutes pass, then 15, then 20, 25 minutes. And yet, Constable, been following the tracks. You can still see them leading the way you came. As you look around, however, you're still not back at the edge of the woods. 2 or 3 more minutes, farther, and still the edge doesn't come into sight. 30 minutes now. And still no edge of the village in sight.
I guess this time Fiona's gonna ask, is this the right way?
There's only one path. There's no way we could get lost. This is weird. It's
I hate to
weird.
say
I don't
told
like
you
it.
so, but I kind of did say we should keep going forward, but you're like, we should go back. Totally a good idea, right?
It was a good idea.
It was being the key word here.
Right. I fail to say where you were right in the original. Whatever. You know
Yeah,
what? Like,
exactly.
we'll just. What is this? What is this?
Why
Some
don't
sort of
we
weird magic.
obviously something like that, but there's nothing we can do, so we can either go 2 ways about this. We can keep heading forward like I suggested, or we can try heading off the path.
Uh,
GM, is there like as far as like the flora goes, like are we back to like deciduous trees, or is just still coniferous?
When you step off the path of the check, the trees are now deciduous again.
Huh. Okay.
They are at this point in the year, considering we're nearing the end of fall. Most of them at this point, as you kind of look up and glance around, have lost most of their leaves, and the areas to the sides of the path are littered with colorful but dead leaves.
It's like we're clearly walking in a like we're not literally just like stuck. I don't think, unless this is a really nuanced style, like that plays with your sense of distance and stuff. Yeah. What about the trail or the tracks? The tracks just keep going as well.
They do indeed.
Hmm.
So the
Alright.
tracks are continuing, but it seems to be like there is no end to this.
I will also give you no one else necessarily has this, but Kaylen, you've kind of got an internal compass, so to speak, that points towards Barovia, and you can confirm that you are headed farther away from it right now, or at least you have been getting further from it. You've been walking in the opposite direction.
Alright. So, let's just say that I know exactly where Barovia is. So, well, sorta. I just have an inkling to go towards Barovia, so I just I am very intuitive, so I always know which direction Barovia is in. So, you know.
Sorry,
The only way
I didn't catch the last 5 or so seconds. Could you repeat that?
I'm very intuitive, so I always know what direction Barovia is in.
Really? It's
Yep.
kind of odd.
It's
You
not
know where
odd.
Barovia is.
I'm very good at tracking. I'm very good at tracking Barovia. It's just
Specifically
No.
Barovia.
yeah, I'm very intuitive. It's intuition, man. I'm telling you, intuition. I'm just in the
Alright.
zone. Yeah, in the zone, you know. So the only way I see us getting out of this is going to Barovia or going off the path and hoping for the best. My idea was we go to Barovia, talk to some people at Barovia. Maybe they've had the same problem on this path. Maybe they have some more advice they could give us.
It's a day's trek, though.
So,
We don't have any supplies.
so none of you have rations?
No.
I think it was. Yeah, we left that all at camp
I kind of
wherever.
finished mine.
That's pretty silly.
Just coming here.
Yeah. So like, exactly. So regardless of your of the circumstances around that, yeah, we're supplyless.
I'm sorry, I'm used to traveling alone. I don't really need that many supplies. Alright, let's...
It's apparently not, because death is relative to you. I still recall.
Well, it's not that it's relative, it's just... Death is just an option. You get to choose to live or die. That's the way I see it.
It's real nice, buddy. Anyway,
It's kind of good to have that freedom.
alright. Let's put it to a vote then. Those who think we should, there is a way out of this, and should head back, say aye.
Fiona's gonna take out her dagger. Can she go to the nearest tree and kind of like chuck out like a small piece of the tree bark, just marking it? Okay.
Yeah, there's
Alright.
nothing stopping you from doing so.
Yeah, and then
That's
she's
a
gonna
really
turn to
good
the
idea.
rest. Well, whichever way we're going now, I think it's best that we at least mark where we're starting from. This place is starting to get very suspicious.
That's true.
Yeah, is there any specific way you're looking
Well,
to mark
basically
it?
she's just like kind of like chipping a chunk of the tree bark. So it
Not carving like a symbol into it or anything?
Like carve an X or something.
Alright, if you guys are gonna
Yeah.
tell her to carve a symbol, she'll carve something. She'll make yeah. And next mark will probably be the easiest one.
No, you should probably carve a
What is an
octagon.
octagon?
Here, let me show you.
Yeah.
Of course.
Let
Can I
the
just
science
draw a
guy show
sun?
An
you.
octagon. That's
Yes.
that's a
Can I just
Very
mark
weird.
a sun?
Think of it like this. How many people
you
will carve
can
an
mark
X?
down
Okay,
whatever you want.
as they
Just
start
think of
to
that.
say something complicated, I'll just carve a circle and then like draw like the line. So it's a sun.
Good.
There.
Good drawing. Good. Think of it like this.
Carving octagons in the
Okay,
Division
okay,
War,
a
I think
sun
it's a
will do.
lot harder than you might think.
Yeah, a sun will do. Moving on.
Well, how many people out there
The
would carve
octagons
an
into
X on a
trees.
tree? You know? Not many people would carve a sun on a tree to mark it, would they?
Yeah, a sun will do.
Yay.
Let's moving on.
Nice, good idea. So yeah,
To Barovia?
So, you guys are continuing. Are you guys headed towards Barovia or back down the path, the direction you have been heading?
Well, we can't head down that way because it'll take us nowhere. It'll just be a complete circle, obviously.
At least we know where Barovia is, like the man says.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, what's to say that the same effect doesn't happen the other way around?
Well, I'm very intuitive, and I'm hoping that it won't. And if it does, then
Yeah,
we'll go
hoping.
with the second
Just
idea.
like how I'm hoping that if we keep on heading back, we're going to eventually reach the edge.
You're
Same
not.
kind of
We've
logic,
been
isn't it?
traveling- But no, we've been traveling for half an hour this way. It looks like we're just going in circles. So, I'm sorry, but my idea is much better. Because at least when we were traveling that way, we were actually getting somewhere.
Let's
Yeah,
call a vote.
Traveling this way, we're also getting somewhere, as indicated, as indicated
really
by
are.
the trees.
Let's call a vote.
Right. To which half of us are in agreement that we should go back, and half of us think we should press on,
Why
which
don't we just
is
flip a coin
I
then?
was really just promised food if I come along.
I'll get you food, darling.
I'll
Don't
follow you
worry.
to the end of the world then.
is that sexual harassment? We
Oh,
take sexual harassment very seriously in the workplace.
please,
No, don't say that.
Constable.
Anyway, all right, fine. Let's flip a coin then, because either way is as good in my opinion.
Well,
Okay.
that's the way we used to do it back in my hometown. If two
Alright.
people had an argument, you'd flip a coin.
That's a very odd way of settling an argument. But okay, I'll roll a 1d. I'll roll a 1d2.
Describe the
Or
coin.
1d.
So one
Yeah,
is
1d2. Describe the coin.
Describe the. Yeah.
It's actually a. It's actually a collector's item that a traveler once gave to Jon as a thank you gift. It's an odd coin. He's never seen it before, but on one face it has the head of a man, which is a king, unlike any that Jon's ever seen. With a scripture of a text that Jon can't understand, and on the other face is a let's say a wolf.
That's a very strange coin. Okay. What?
Yes.
What? Which is heads, which is tails?
Well, the head is obviously the man, and the tail is the wolf.
Okay.
hey guys.
So I'm gonna roll a 1d2. One is heads, two is tails.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I vote for head.
Where's head? Which way
Yeah,
is
that's
head
what I was
going?
asking.
Head is like back.
Head is back. Head is back to civilization, which is very fitting. And tails is going into the wild. All right, nice. I like it. Okay, let's do this. Head.
Alright then.
Yeah, Fiona's going to raise
So-
her hand and says, "Do you guys hear that?"
So let me throw it out there for you guys. Jon takes a step forward, right? He's got the coin in his hand, puts it on his thumb, and he flicks it up into the air. And we watch as the coin, flips its way up. We see it spiral into the fog. It disappears for a moment. And, Kaylen kind of crane their heads up as they're waiting for it to come back down. And Fiona suddenly speaks up and she says, "Hey, can you hear that?" And everyone turns their head to listen. And there, on the very edge of your perception, you can hear it. It sounds like music. The sound, the haunting melody of a fiddle. It's faint, barely on the edge of your perception, and it's headed farther in the direction that you've been going so far. And as everyone turns to crane their heads and listen for the sound, try and pick out the direction, we watch as the coin falls back, suddenly appearing out of the fog behind where everyone's standing, and falls uncaught into the mud. And we look down and we see heads. The smiling face of the long forgotten king staring up at the group.
It's
Curious.
a sign.
What do you
We
do?
need to go back or we'll die.
What's death?
It's a sentiment that I share. All right. You said the fiddle's also headed in the direction back home. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. Everything seems fair, right, Kaylen?
Indeed. Nice.
I like this. We'll keep it in mind next time we come to an impasse. That's a good way of settling things, I think. And with that, I think we should head back.
The coin flip is such a common practice.
I assume that Jon takes a moment to bend down and pull the coin out of the mud. You wipe it clean.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is probably worth something somewhere
To someone.
to someone.
So the four of you are then headed further towards the sound, following the tracks, and perhaps back towards the edge of the woods in Willoughby. You form up the marching order again and continue. Normally I'd say deeper, but in this case, it's really not the case. Just further into the woods.
Yeah.
Another 10 minutes pass, and the sound of the fiddle grows louder. It's strange how it kind of echoes through these silent woods. You would never guess it, but these woods have a certain acoustic quality to them. And with no other sounds, no chittering wildlife, no whispering of leaves and branches in the wind, the fiddle kind of hangs in the air. It's
Do I recognize
sad.
the tune?
You do not. I would say no one here does.
Is it melodious? Is it like this?
I would imagine.
A bit of like a discord.
No, it's played very well. It's actually kind of beautiful. But there is a serious sadness to the tune. And combined with the ominousness of the woods around you. It's almost haunting.
Okay. No, Kaylen's gonna speak up. He's just gonna be like, look, I didn't want to say anything earlier, but as we keep walking, I'm gonna ask you a question, Constable. Do you really think it's a good idea to head towards the sound in a creepy forest?
Yeah, I think that we were going to go in that direction anyway, and the field's just a happy accident.
It is worth checking
Uh,
it out. I would say it's worth checking it out. I'm curious.
If it's
I'm
Mr.
curious.
Science Guy, is there anything you can do?
but if it's towards the town, do you think that it could be
I'm sorry,
someone
what?
is attacking the town while we're trapped here?
While playing a fiddle.
Maybe
It
they're
seems
celebrating because
likely.
they've won.
Look, I
No,
honestly
that
just
seems
think that
unlikely.
I honestly just think that the whole attacking the town was a distraction, a getaway plan. Honestly, I don't think they'll go back to attack the town
I don't
because
know.
they look. All right, science dude. Is there anything you can do to help us out at this point in time?
Hey, use some of your magic powers.
Well, depends. Help in what? Direction-wise?
Well, no. Is there anything you can do to determine if that sound is hostile or not?
I mean, I'm not a paranormal investigator.
Well, damn.
Well, I have. Let's see what skills I have. Arcana, Insight, Nature, Persuasion, and Sleight of Hand. So, I mean, I don't know how can you tell if the music is like dangerous or not.
Okay.
I'm not.
Honestly, I'm not all that concerned about any hostile actions, but just because how do I phrase this properly? Just because you're strong doesn't mean you should go running at an enemy.
No, that's true. That's why we're going to approach it cautiously.
Exactly.
So then,
Wait,
further
DM.
onwards.
Wait, DM.
Further
Can
onwards.
she sort of like make the marking again every 10 minutes or so?
Absolutely. I was actually just going to
Yeah,
assume
but
by
just putting
default
it
that you were
there.
doing that.
And you should mark it with
Yep. So
numbers
the
too, so we know,
the
like,
second sun
so
will
that there's a
be
sequence.
marked with a number 1 instead of a smiley face.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like it. You push further and further, and it's about 7, maybe 8 minutes of walking later when through the fog in front of you, you can see the dim glow of firelight. It's not directly in front of you. It seems to be offset from the road, but you do see it. And by now, the sound of the fiddle has grown loud and close, and you suspect it's probably near the source of that light.
Alright.
How far is the light?
Not too far at all, if you had to guess.
Okay, Constable, here's what I think we should do. Who in this little group is good at being quiet?
I can't do that.
Decent?
Yeah, as long as you're good at being quiet, you being Constable, you wouldn't be the best at being quiet.
It would probably be accurate, yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. I would assume that you two people who have been sitting in the back are good at being quiet. With that assumption, Constable walk up to the camp casually, like we're just a couple of normal adventurers, while you two sit in the back and quietly move closer and follow us quietly. And if anything happens, we will do the signal. I'm going to delegate the signal, and I'm just gonna say, those eggs look, because that's a phrase you wouldn't use in a normal
Again, what was
conversation.
it?
Really? You don't compliment people on your eggs? How rude.
Sorry,
So,
what was the signal?
I'm just gonna, if you guys can, those eggs look
Oh.
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about something like the walrus sings at midnight?
The
No,
night
that's
is too
too long,
dangerous.
and that's too obvious. Okay, how about stay a while and listen?
I don't know, man. You don't usually ask fellow travelers to sit by your fire and offer them eggs. It's kind of weird, man.
Okay.
A little bit rude.
Okay, how about we stick with stay a while and listen. You two follow us close behind, very quietly, as quiet as you can. Me and the constable will approach like normal adventurers, just looking to have a conversation and determine if they are hostile
So
or
when
non
you say
hostile.
that, do I shoot them?
All right, good idea.
When I say that, that's when shit's
Alright.
gonna get real. So that means that's when they're probably going to start attacking us.
Okay.
So I would suggest, Constable, that both of us keep our weapons sheathed, so we do not look like we are hostile. We like we're just two adventurers looking to have a see where it goes from there, while the other two follow us as close and quietly as they can. But also keep an eye out for other people, because sometimes people who are camping like to have other people who are in their little camp settlement to be guarding the area while they're quietly sneaking around the area patrolling. So just be careful.
It'll be fine. So let's just. It'll be fine.
So that's the plan then?
Yeah. Anything and everything could be hostile. That's the way Kaylen is.
Are you guys going
Alright.
along with the plan?
I'm gonna stealth.
Yeah.
Go ahead. If that's the case, Fiona, Balthazar, go ahead and roll stealth for me.
Oh, damn. Nice one. Oh,
Not bad.
that's
Not bad.
still pretty good.
Okay.
Holy crap, Lina.
A +6.
Jeez.
It's
Wow.
expertise.
Yeah.
You gotta be a very sneaky man to scout potions in Ostmark. Okay. So the two of you, Kaylen and Constable Jon,
Mm-hmm.
make your way higher. You push your way farther down the path, your companions shadowing you at a distance. Admittedly, Fiona, Balthazar, you do lose sight of your two companions pretty quickly. It's very difficult to see very far in this fog, and at the distance you're trying to shadow them from, it's very easy to lose sight of about it.
Wait, DM.
Oh god, this
DM,
was a bad
one thing.
idea.
Does he still have
It's
the
fine.
light? Or it probably went out already, right? It's
He does
okay.
still have the light. I'm willing, I assume that if it ran out, as far as how long you guys have been out here, it only takes a
Yeah.
second to recast it.
Just
So,
follow
do
the
you
light.
want the light as you go? She'll ask Jon. Alright. go
Yeah,
ahead then.
yeah.
Okay, so continue, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So, The two of you approach the light, and as you get closer, Jon and Kaylen, you can hear the sound of voices talking quietly, a number of them. And you can start to hear movement, people walking around, things shifting about, what almost sounds like sounds of eating or dining, forks and knives on plates. The music has settled at this point. Whatever's been playing along to has ended. And now, as you guys get closer still, conversation starts to pick up and the voices. And then from either side of you, almost out of the fog itself, sort of appearing to a certain extent, you see large covered wagons. The really thickly wooded, oversized kind with the colorful canvas tops, doors and windows set into it, almost like mobile houses. And
I completely
Jon,
forgot about the tracks. Shit. Okay, sorry, go on.
you recognize these almost instantly as the traveling wagons of the Vistani. And it is only a few more steps forward before the camp itself comes into view. A large bonfire has been erected into the center of it, where the wagons form a sort of like half circle around the actual encampment itself. And as you step forward, the fog suddenly thins dramatically. You find yourself actually standing in full view at the edge of the camp. Both of you do. And a dozen sets of faces, men, women, and children, all look up in surprise.
I'm gonna look over and go, hello, nice to see you guys. We came over because we saw the fire and thought we'd come over and converse and be social. Hope you guys don't mind. If you wish us to leave, we'll happily leave.
Two of the younger looking men have started to reach for swords and started to stand from their positions where apparently they had been leaning and chatting near one of the wagons. And they take slow, hesitant steps towards the two of you.
I'm gonna.
At this point, I'd like to step forward with my hands raised, like in a pacifying gesture, and I'm like, no, you should recognize me. I'm the local sheriff in the nearby town. I just wanted to talk to you. What's their leader type called? Like a chief?
You probably wouldn't know, as there are many different bands of Vistani, and they're all led by different elders. You would know that the leader of a band of Vistani is known as the Elder.
Okay. Yeah. In that case, I'll just be like, just like to have a word with the Elder about some weird occurrences in town.
So just settle down and don't
At
grab any weapons.
the mention of weird occurrences, the two men shoot each other a very obvious and strange look, concern clearly on their face, and the swords come out of their sheaths. And everyone kind of takes you see the people in the camp, a lot of them take a hesitant step backwards or try to duck behind something. And the men themselves take another hesitant step towards you.
Hey, can you please stop there? We're not here to have a fight. We are just here to converse and be social. Can you please put your weapons away before this gets sour? I don't want to fight. I just want to be nice, converse, and have a little talk. If we wanted to be hostile or fight with you, we would have pulled out our weapons while we came up to the camp.
You should listen to the men, boys. There is no need for violence. An elderly man's voice rings out through the camp, and the door of one of the covered wagons on the far side is pushed open. You watch as an older, wrinkled fellow dressed in garish robes done in oranges and bright crimson reds, filigreed with some strange shimmery green cloth, wearing heavy necklaces of silver and gold, his fingers bedecked in rings, steps out, places his gilded cane on the ground, and steps down from the wagon itself. There is no need to be so hostile to travelers. You two, have you somehow left the lands of Barovia?
No,
From
but I
action.
was looking to travel there, but you know, we left the town that we came from, this constable's town, and we were just adventuring because the constable wanted to get out. I think I'm not sure his reasons, but I decided, hey, you know, I want to start adventuring. To come with this constable for shits and giggles, basically. Then we decided to come up to this camp and have a talk to people who are camping and, you know, just converse and be social. And your guys over here decided to pull out weapons and start being hostile, which I did not find very acceptable because you don't just be hostile towards people you don't know. But, you know, they could be nice people. You don't want to start kill the king. You understand what I'm trying to say?
The old man has been staring at you. He's been stroking at his thin, scraggly beard as he listens to your explanation for a moment. And he scratches his bald head. And then he nods once, and then he nods twice. Would be good of you to join us for dinner this evening.
What's
You
for
two
dinner?
seem. He looks at you, somewhat perhaps miffed that you have cut him off, and in a gesture with his hand, the one not holding the cane, towards the bonfire, upon which you can see two spit roasts, and it looks kind of like they're cooking pig, very lean pig.
Up to you, Constable. You're the higher ranking officer here, so you make the decisions.
Yeah, well, I'm starving, so I don't see why not. I
Take a seat. Take a seat. And he gestures towards a number of logs that have been pulled up to the fire. You see some of the camp who had been sitting there previously have stood even before he gestured towards said logs and have made room for the two of you.
out of character, real quick. Are we just gonna out
Yeah,
outside?
yeah. They're essentially gonna be, if shit goes sour, they're gonna go into a camp and be like, "Hey guys, you can come out of hiding now." It gives a bad impression, so we're just gonna leave them there because I told them to wait until the signal, so they're gonna wait until the signal and be obedient.
Oh, okay.
You
Well,
always need a backup plan, my dude.
Wait,
That's
how
true.
far away are Fiona and
Alright.
Balthazar from them? It won't. They can they smell the food or see the food?
You guys are at the very edge of the fog, kind of staring into the camp from behind trees. And yes, you guys can smell the roasting
Hungry.
pig and can see the warm fire. I will even give you that you guys can see the flagons of what you can only guess to be wine of some sort being passed around.
I'm gonna whisper to the constable, so no one else can hear me, and I'm just gonna say, look, it would be in your best interest to let me taste everything before you taste it.
John looks at the elf for a good a hard while, and he's like nods. And so with that, I think we settle in to eat
Mm-hmm.
and
I will
talk.
be trying every single thing before the constable gets to try it.
Yeah, and John keeps an eye out, so he only eats whatever the Revenant eats.
Run that by me again?
So John is only gonna eat whatever things first to make sure, they're not gonna kill you or anything.
Sure. At that point, I will assume you guys have taken seats near the fire.
Yeah.
Wooden plates are passed to the two of you with chunks of the roasting pig flesh laid out upon them. It's been well cooked, perhaps and ever so slightly based on the color of the meat. It has a slight orangeness to it.
Okay, I'm gonna as we're gonna eat, I'm gonna look up to the elder guy and I'll be like, hey, what sort of meat is it? Ask.
Do you take a bite of it as you ask him that? That's the question.
No,
Do it.
I'm asking
Do it.
him before I take a bite.
Looks at you and he says, "We managed to secure a handful of young pigs before we left the lands of Barovia.
But
We
wouldn't young pigs have less meat on them?
He smiles at you, and as he does so, you can see that he is missing a number of his teeth. You can actually hear him as he stops smiling, suck a little the empty gaps between his teeth. And he seems to think for a moment before he says, "Things are not good in Barovia these days. Not many meaty pigs to go around."
Well,
I don't know, Kaylen. It's
Hey,
impolite to ask
Constable.
about the food.
I was just asking a pure question that I was curious about because in my logical understanding, young pigs wouldn't have that much meat because they're only young. I'm just asking. I don't mean to be disrespectful. It's just my curiosity sometimes gets the better of me, and I'm just curious about the world. But
Of course.
if I'm wrong, then I don't care about being wrong. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I'd never cut up pig myself, so for all I know, they could have more meat than I think they have. So
Vistani have a saying, the only bad questions are the ones that go unasked. But please, enjoy your meal.
Okay. I'm gonna take a bite of it. Cause fucking YOLO, I can't die.
So the old man takes a seat across from you guys on the other side of the bonfire, and he's actually passed a plate of the meat as well, and he picks his up and he bites into it with vigor. He starts to eat, obviously taking quite some time to chew each piece. You take a bite of your own, Kaylen, and it's not bad. It's a little bit overcooked. The outside is charred to a certain extent, but it's still fairly juicy, and the meat underneath is delicious. And as you kind of chew it up and taste it in your mouth and swallow it, you kind of think to yourself that the char even is not that bad. This pig has clearly been seasoned, and it's got an almost bacon-like quality to the outer edges. It's delicious, if you have to be
Would I
honest.
be able to tell by the taste of this if it is pig or not? I just
Do you
want to
have?
tell if this
So-
guy is being true to his word.
I will give you this. If you want to test to see what kind of meat it is by taste alone, I'm going to need a cooking tool proficiency roll. And if you want to try and taste test whether this is poison somehow, I will need a poisoner's kit tool proficiency roll.
Well, I have disguise and forgery kit if that helps.
Why don't you give me a roll then, based upon wisdom with disadvantage?
So, just a wisdom check?
Just a wisdom check with disadvantage.
Yay, I have +0 to wisdom. That's an 8.
I was gonna roll survival to do the same thing.
It's the same modifier, so it really doesn't matter.
I will still ask for cooking utensils because I really want that skill to be useful to someone who undertakes it.
Yeah, I have no cooking utensils, so
I have no tool specialization at all.
Okay,
I
then yeah,
have
throw me that
disguise and forgery.
flat wisdom check with disadvantage. You didn't get a tool proficiency from your background, Darren?
No, I didn't.
2 languages instead?
Yeah.
Okay. Next time, as opposed to the wisdom save, when I ask for a flat wisdom roll, actually click wisdom instead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing anyway.
Yeah. So in this case, it's fine, but just for future reference for anyone else.
Okay.
Yeah, Darren, you bite into yours, and you get basically the same thing. It's pretty good, especially, I'll give this to you, Jon. Food in the village recently has been kind of scarce, and you've been essentially cut down to eating, some of the lesser rations. And honestly, this is one of the better things you've eaten in a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's delicious. And as you guys bite into it and start to chew, 2 what's the word for it? 2 clay cups are placed near your guys' feet, and a pair of Vistani women pour what appears to be mulled wine into your cups.
Can I make
You
a
see them-
perception check by any
Yeah,
chance to
you're looking.
tell? I'm sort of looking at the wine because I have seen wine before, and I'm checking to see if I've seen this wine before.
You've seen mulled wine before in your life. Yeah. I mean, are you looking for something specific about mulled wine?
No, Kaylen is very untrusting, and he's getting the heebie-jeebies over this. They seem very untrustworthy because of their creepy nature.
Oh,
You take a sip out of their own wine.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it because YOLO, but
sure. You reach down and
in
grab
the
your
case of
cup and
Kaylen,
take a-
not YOLO. It's YOLF. You only live forever.
You reach down and grab a hold of the clay cup, and you raise it at first, and you take a sniff of it maybe to get an idea to prepare your palate. And as you do so, you can see the same Vistani girls trying to serve wine to the elder, who actually just snatches the flagon out of their hands with a laugh, and the girls kind of giggle too, and then they step away, and he drinks straight from the flagon with one hand and munches on the meat with the other. You taste it, and it is a deep, hearty red wine but as with old mulled wine, has a sort of warm spiciness to it that tintillates the senses. It's really good mulled wine, and you're rather surprised. The food, while good, is kind of basic, but there is a craftsmanship and a quality to the mulled wine.
Hmm. I'm gonna look at the elder and be like, hey, if it's not rude to ask, where did you get this wine? It's really good.
The Barovians aren't particularly good at many things, but they have always known their way around the grape.
Really? Brilliant. For wine. That makes little sense. Where the fuck does Barovia get grapes?
The man just smiles at you in a very strange and almost knowing way, but he doesn't say anything. Balthazar, Fiona, are you guys actually entering the camp?
Don't do it.
Balthazar
Don't
is.
do it.
Yeah, I don't mind either way.
It's up to you guys. You're more than welcome to.
Yeah, Balthazar is moving in.
You're
Yeah.
basically throwing the training wheels off a bike. Why, man? Why?
I mean, I'm not a rookie, dude.
Fiona, are you following him?
This isn't gonna go good.
Are you still on push to talk?
He probably is.
I believe.
I think
Get
she's
back to it.
offline.
Actually, before we get to that, mind if we take a short 5-minute break?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, we can do that. What are you doing? We're taking a break because we didn't
Yeah,
hear back from
sorry,
you.
I kind of like wanted to. Sorry.
You're all right. We'll take a quick 5-minute break. We will re-up with you guys. You two, specifically Fiona and Balthazar, stepping out of the fog and into the
All right.
camp. Okay.
Alright, cool.
So, like I said, we are going to lead into this with Balthazar and Fiona stepping out of the fog and into the firelight at the edge of the camp. As the two of you do so, you get the same reaction the others two did, minus the swords being drawn. A dozen Vistani faces, including the elder, who you have been watching converse with your two companions, all look up and stare at you with, a little bit of surprise on their face, a little bit of hesitation. The elder, in particular, looks at the two of you, seems to judge you for a second before he smiles, that strangely gap-toothed smile of his, and he calls out, "Ah, I see the woods hold many strangers this evening."
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. We were just passing through. We're going and we got kind of lost. Then we heard the music. We saw. We smelled the food, and I thought that maybe we'll just come in and introduce ourselves.
Of course. You two then, surely, must have come from the lands of Barovia.
Not really. We're going
Oh, we
to
would like
Barovia.
to go to Barovia.
Sort of
Man
look at
gives
you
you-
guys like you're fucking idiots.
The man also looks at you two very strangely. Another two looking to enter the lands of Barovia. How very, very strange.
Yeah.
But I suppose it is not an I who judge the two of you. Please, come and sit. Enjoy a meal. Perhaps introduce yourselves to us.
Balthazar is famished, so he'll go and sit at the table and say, "Well, I am Balthazar DeBaum. I'm a bit of a scientist, an adventurer, an entrepreneur, and he kind of points at his large backpack.
I see, I see.
I'm
A
just
man of
gonna-
many talents and many hats. Please, enjoy the meal. And before you is placed a wooden plate with a cut of charred, very succulent looking pig.
Is that how you normally describe pigs, as succulent?
I know, that's how I
Succulent.
describe pigs.
You monster.
Fiona, when you go to sit down, a plate is placed in front of you as well.
She's going to start eating it. She's clearly quite hungry.
You guys get the same description that the first two did. It's ever so slightly seasoned, a little bit too charred on the outside, but it's still good. Almost a crispy bacon quality to it. And the inside is juicy and tender, pulls apart in your mouth. It's delicious. And of course, after a few moments, another set of clay mugs are set in front of the two of you, and more mulled wine poured from a different flagon than the one the elder is drinking from is poured into your cups.
Different. Hmm.
As you guys, are chewing away at your food, you do note that there are probably 15, 16 adults, maybe 6 or 7 children in the camp. None of them are at the fire with you guys and the elder. They all kind of stand back near the wagons. You see faces sometimes poking out from the windows of the wagons, or people peeking around from the edges of doorways, watching you guys. Very quiet.
Excuse me, sir.
Please. The formality of sir does not fit.
I'm sorry.
Or not.
I'm a noble myself, so I'm used to formalities. That's why I refer to people as sir and ma'am. That's how I grew up, how I was born. I am of noble birth myself. So
I
Oh, yeah.
appreciate the
I know
respect,
that.
but I would prefer if you called me by my name.
what's your name?
I am Stanimir, the elder of this band.
Stanimir, why aren't the others joining with us? Are they just not hungry, or are they? I'm just
They've
curious.
had their fill of food and drink for the evening, and I
Yeah, but,
think, if I had to guess, the 4 of you intimidate them. They are perhaps not used to seeing strangers, at least not in our own camp.
How about they come over and socialize? There's no need to be intimidated by us.
The elder leans back in his chair, and he sucks on his teeth as he thinks. And then he squints at you as though trying to assess the truth of your statement
Fiona's gonna say
before leaning forward again and saying, Oh, go
as
ahead.
he watches, Fiona's going to talk with her mouth full, and she says, "Oh, I'm not scary. Only that guy is scary."
Okay.
She points to Kaylen.
I laugh and I'm like, yeah, it's true. It's not every day you see a face that hideous. And I should say it, and I'm the one to talk.
Shut your mouth, constable.
You hear
It's
some
fine. When you get
laughter.
to my age, well, I guess when you get to our age, looks sort of become irrelevant, doesn't it? Mr. 3 times my age.
Dude, I am young for my people. This is young.
I like that. Nice. I guess you have another lifetime to live out your hideousness. Luckily
Yeah.
for me, I'm dying in a couple of years.
Yeah, and I can watch you die and laugh at your grave.
There is some laughter from the Masonic
Rude.
at the banter. They seem to appreciate a good barbed jab at a companion. And while they still do not approach, the atmosphere is perhaps not quite as tense.
And so with that, I sort of like clear my throat, and I'm like, I got settled, I hope. Despite what my friend here says, we actually did come out here looking for you. As I did mention, there was some weird things happening in my old town. I'm the constable of the town, and we came here to see if you had anything to do with it. Not that I think you do, but you know how formalities go.
Why not just tell him your life story?
I had suspected you were out here for as much. Strangeness seems to come and go with the fog, and these are strange times indeed.
The fog itself
Right.
is pretty strange.
The elder smiles at that and nods his head in agreement. Yes, it is. Perhaps you could tell me what strangeness plagues your village, Constable.
For one, there's been pretty much non-stop rainfall. It's sort of drowned out all of our crops for the season, which isn't doing well for the village. But more so than that, we were just attacked by large wolf creatures.
Large wolf creatures. Big
Aye.
wolves?
Aye. And to make matters worse, some strangers appeared to have come into the town and set the town ablaze.
The elder gives you a hard look as he strokes his chin and sucks on his teeth.
Now I'm sure that you being the elder, you keep track of your people's movements. Surely, no one from your group was away sometime in the last couple of hours or so.
No, my people have been at camp, and we've been here since we arrived out of the mountains.
Can I insight that? Tell
Yeah,
if
go
this
ahead.
guy's lying at all.
Yeah, I'd like to insight it too.
Yeah.
Fiona's gonna continue eating.
Yeah, no.
Kaylen, you are such an untrustworthy person. Maybe that's not the right way. You are such a suspicious person by nature. You just automatically assume he's hiding something. But Jon, Balthazar, I'd say that both of you, after having heard that, the man seems to be at least mostly sincere. You cannot help but feel, though, that something about his statement seems to imply that he knows more than he's trying to let on.
You said that you came from the mountains, as in you came from Barovia.
Yes, we often move through the lands of Barovia. It is sort of not quite a homeland, but we treat it like such.
Is it always so foggy?
You don't know the half of it.
But you all are able to get out of the fog.
Oh yes, more than capable.
That's good, because we've been stuck in the fog for the past hour or two. We can't seem to find our way back home.
So, what was the elder's name again? It was
Stanimir.
Stanimir? Yeah.
Scanamir.
Something Russian sounding.
This fog, and he says as he's stuffing his face with the fork, and he's like, this fog looks very strange, like nothing I've ever seen. I've never seen a fog greenish purple. What's up with this thing?
It is a part of the curse that afflicts all of Barovia.
Curse!
What
Please
curse,
elaborate.
if you don't mind me asking? I'm interested in that sort of things, so I'm curious. Well,
Stanimir smiles at you guys, and he actually laughs out loud for a moment. And there's like a nervous chuckle from the other Vistani, but then he looks up at them real seriously, and the noise cuts. He then stares at the four of you with a very serious intensity. You four seek to enter the lands of Barovia, and you do not even know the nature of its curse.
well,
Not me. I'm not fucking insane.
Look, I was sort of just following my heart, and my heart was taking me into the direction that I found out is the direction of Barovia, so just following my heart.
The man nods his head. He doesn't seem particularly impressed with your answer.
Look,
Perhaps
Well, I'm an
the four
adventurer.
of you
Adventuring is my life. I'm prepared for the worst. I'm going into Barovia to find some things. Some interesting things for my trade. You understand, he just shrugs his shoulders.
Fiona's not gonna
I see.
respond to anything. She's just going to watch the old man as she continues to eat.
look,
I can-
I'm
I can-
gonna stand to me. I'm gonna apologize on the constable's behalf. He's very rude, and sometimes he's an impulsive rude person where he'll come out as rude and he doesn't even realize it. So I'm going to apologize on his behalf.
Oh, speak for yourself, Mr. Lone Wolf, Mr. I don't play with anyone, Mr. I'm
Mr.
suspicious of literally every Mary, Dick, and Robinson.
Mister, I'm a stupid constable who could probably get himself killed one day.
Please.
Mr. I probably should have died
Oh,
30
then-
years ago, I bet.
The constable has a point. To know curse of Barovia is perhaps to know madness. You are closer to the truth than you think, my friend.
And what's the truth?
The man smiles at you. Perhaps you have time for a story.
Stories are my forte. I like stories.
I would like to hear
Past,
that
present,
too.
future. And you can learn from that.
He grins and he looks up and he kind of scans the crowd for a second. And then he snaps his fingers and he points at a man who nods his head and rushes into one of the wagons. And when he returns, he has in his hands a strange looking instrument, one I imagine no one here is familiar with. It is two octagonal pieces with straps on them. One of them has keys, and the other appears to have hoses of some kind, just barely sticking out. And between them is this long folded piece of cloth that you imagine acts as some kind of bellows. And as he pushes the two sides together and pulls them apart, he presses on the key.
Playing the bagpipe?
He's playing the accordion.
Oh.
Hey, Fiona, now you know
That's
what
not how I would
accordion is.
describe an accordion,
Yeah, she's gonna
but
say,
okay, go ahead.
yeah, it's gonna be a shape that she's never seen before.
That is an
Oh,
octagon.
What a weird shape.
As that man begins to softly play,
What?
tune,
In what?
Another-
Okay, hold on. Sorry. In what world do you describe an accordion that way? Like with hoses coming out of it and
seen an old accordion?
lock that acts as.
I did say just barely
Oh,
sticking
I don't
out.
see it.
I would draw for you, but I don't intend to take the time. Basically, you've got two metal pieces on either side of a cloth interior The inside acts as a bellows, and to pull air into the bellows, usually one of those octagonal pieces in older models has like little holes in it that are essentially tubes to allow the air in. And occasionally on older ones, you can see where the hoses stick out a little.
It's like a flute.
Not
What?
at all,
No.
but
Not at all like a flute.
but I like the comparison, and just to make it more confusing, yes, absolutely.
It's like
But
a
really,
flute,
Darren, the
except
goal-
you don't blow into it.
Darren, the goal was to describe an accordion like I was an alien, considering no one had seen one before, and I think I succeeded.
That's true. That's true.
Another man exits the wagon, and in his hands he holds a fiddle and begins to play softly along with the tune of the accordion. And together they produce a lovely little tune, sad, haunting, and surprisingly quiet. Stanimir takes the flagon of wine and sucks into his mouth a great mouthful, and then he looks between the four of you and he spits it with like a loud sound into the bonfire itself. And as you guys watch, the fire slowly changes from a burning orange to a sickly and ominous green. As the flames begin to dance and sway, a dark shape begins to take form in the bonfire's core. Stanimir then begins to speak. We come from an ancient land whose name is long forgotten, a land of kings. Our enemies forced us from our homes, and now we wander the lost roads of the world. Dark shape in the fire takes the form of a man being knocked from his horse, a spear piercing his side. Stanimir continues. One night, a wounded soldier staggered into our camp and collapsed. We nursed his terrible injury and quenched his thirst with wine. He managed to survive, and when we asked him who he was, he would not say. All he wanted was to return home, but we were deep in the land of his enemies. We took him as one of our own and followed him back toward his homeland. His enemies hunted him. They said he was a prince, yet we didn't give him up, even when their assassins fell upon us, wolves. Deep in the bonfire, you see the dark figure standing with sword drawn, fighting off a host of shadowy shapes. This man of royal blood fought to protect us as we protected him. We bore him safely to his home, and he thanked us. He said, I owe you my life. Stay as long as you wish. Leave when you choose. And know that you will always be safe within my home. The figure in the dancing fire vanquishes its final foe, then disperses in a cloud of smoke and embers. Stanimir's face becomes a somber mask. A curse has befallen our once noble prince and his land that he once held so dear. Once a magnificent leader. Perhaps, in many ways, our people's king. Now a miserable tyrant. He looks between the four of you, gives you a very ominous stare.
And what, may I ask, is the king's name?
Stanimir nods his head. He is known as Strahd. Strahd Zarkovich. The name unfamiliar to the four of you. I warn you, the curse that has befallen Barovia is a powerful one indeed. If you enter those lands, you will never return.
But your people pass through the border on regular basis.
We alone have the power to enter and leave the lands of Barovia.
Stenemy, I don't want to seem to be rude, but there is only chance you can either send one of your men with the power with us to Barovia, or we can somehow get the power to go there and come back.
Stanimir thinks for a moment. We have never met anyone who was able to pass through the barrier that surrounds the lands of Barovia and could survive. The curse afflicts all who walk upon its cursed ground and kills those who try to leave.
Alright. Stenemy, amongst your men, how many can fight?
What kind of a question is that?
Well, I was going to ask if for it. How about we form an army and go against the other people, the evil people in Barovia, and find a way to cure this curse?
Wait. We're jumping into conclusions for too far fast.
A nice army we have here, 20 odd people.
Hey,
This'll be a nice fighting force.
20
Yeah.
The women and children and all that.
and then 30 can turn into 40, 40 can turn into 50.
Your friend,
No.
fool you think he, and he is not the first to come up with such a suggestion. No, armies have passed through the lands and into the lands of Barovia and have also not returned.
Yeah, but they haven't had us on their team, have they, Stanley?
You're very overconfident.
Yes. In my age, I've seen men both weaker and stronger than I. If this mad king has held on to power this long, and apparently armies can't stop him, then I don't think we can either.
You're obviously a pessimist. I believe we can.
I'm obviously a realist.
No, I believe we can if we get stronger.
Sorry, why are we trying to slay a mad king again?
Because
we're here to investigate a fire.
Because it's a mad king. Why
No. If you do this, you will do it alone. At least I will not go with you.
Look, someone is scared.
No, I'm just smart.
Listen, I've fought in wars. I've seen comrades die in battle. I know for certain that being a coward is a good thing. It keeps you alive.
You guys are just scared of death. I understand.
Yeah. That is what I'm afraid of, yeah.
I understand. I embrace death.
Yeah. We have heard that before, haven't we?
Really? My story goes out throughout the land, does it? I've never met you before.
No, it's that we find edgy people everywhere.
Edgy. Is that how you would describe me? Edgy.
Yeah,
Brother, you're
pretty much.
so edgy that I'm afraid you might cut yourself.
I'm happy. I don't care about cutting myself.
Yeah,
Look.
you're one of those tip their hands upon one of those exotic swords from the east.
Oh boy, you better step down right now. Way older than
Nothing
you.
personnel, kiddo.
Gentlemen, please. There's no need to argue amongst yourselves.
Okay.
If you know of an army who will follow you through the woods and through the mountain passes and into the lands of Barovia, you are more than welcome to try.
Stand
I
on
think,
Nothing will
I
stop
think
you
we've
from
split
entering.
from the point a little bit.
Look,
I think
stand
the most important thing is right now, can you take us back home?
No, quiet, Constable. Stand a minute. You understand what I'm trying to say, right?
I am trying to say, but what I am telling you is that armies have come to help before and have perished. And he
I love how
Kinda
Stanavir's accent has like shifted
Russian.
like 4 times since
Good,
we first
good.
started speaking with him.
It's gonna change forever because I cannot do a consistent Romani accent.
Okay.
That's supposed to be Romani. Like first it was like Native American a little
No,
bit,
no, this
and then
this
like
is definitely Romani.
vaguely Russian. Okay, and because right now
Russian-
I'm getting the impression of like Spanish. So
Listen, I'm doing my best.
anyway, sorry, go on.
I'm not even, listen, I'm gonna throw this out here. I don't even know if I'm physically capable of rolling R's, and all of the supposed like real world inspirations for everything you guys are about to encounter feature languages with heavy R rolling. So I'm gonna do the best I can.
It's
Okay.
fine. I'm having fun with
Yeah.
it. I enjoy it.
That's fine. I think you're doing a great job, though. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this.
Alright.
So
So
at this point, Balthazar will say that this is all good, but I think before we decide on anything, we need to know what is the nature of this curse. What is this curse? We have not even asked that.
The elder frowns. I wish I could explain it to you, but I'm afraid not even among my own people the curse is well understood.
okay, Stanimir, do you know anyone who has better dealing with curses and would understand curses? Maybe we can go to them and maybe they can tell
Do
us.
there is a leader amongst the Vistani, a woman, a seer. She calls herself Madame Eva. She is with the Vistani camp within Barovia, the place to which all bands eventually return. If understanding the curse is what you seek, there is no one better to speak to than her.
But then
And
we will
as-
have to go into Barovia, right?
I'm afraid so. As to my men leading you back to your home, I think you will find that if you follow the trail away from our camp, you will not have much trouble. The curse afflicts the nearby mountain as much as it afflicts the lands of Barovia itself. But here, we are at the very edges of its power. And I imagine with enough time, you will find your way back home.
I see.
Yes. That's all I needed to know.
I'm still curious, though. What caused... So you say you don't know the nature of this curse. So you probably won't even know what caused this curse or what happened that drove your good king mad?
It is ancient history, from before even I was born. To tell you the truth, many feel like it has always been this way.
Well, we'll have to think on this. But could you give us a map of Barovia or something? Maybe it will aid us in our journey.
He shakes his head. Vistani do not travel with maps, and if any such map of Barovia exists, I have never seen it.
Stenimir, would you know any library books on the history of curses like this? I like to do my research. So if you know any library somewhere where I can,
Says the guy who literally wanted to slay a mad king the moment you heard about him, but go on.
There is, or perhaps was, many leagues to the south from here, across the straits and into the deserts.
what happened to it?
I don't know. I was a child when I last saw it.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking, Stenimir?
He grins at you with that awful to look at gap-toothed smile. It has been, nearly 101 winters since I was born,
So you're 101?
I suppose.
Hmm. You're not much. You're not much younger than me.
Actually, I just thought of something. Didn't you come from the south and across the straits, Kaylen?
Correct.
Then you probably know the library he's talking about.
Okay.
It was around the last time you were in the area, although admittedly you didn't check for it or enter that particular city on your way here. But before what befell you, you had visited a great city dedicated to a single god, a god of knowledge, known as Isis. The Great Library of Isis. You're laughing, and I'm not even lying to you. It is absolutely a reference to something, and it's not even what you're thinking. But yeah, the Great Library.
I was going to
of
ask if the
Isis.
city was called Alexander.
It yeah, actually, definitely, but not really. But yes, the Great Library of Isis, also known as the Great Temple of Isis, in the city that bears his name.
I mean, Isis is an Egyptian god.
Is there a
so.
dude called Archer living there?
No,
Not saying-
it has to be Mallory Archer.
But yeah, you do know the library he speaks of, and you also know that it was standing the last time you were there.
Okay. Well, I suppose, Constable, whenever we have time, can we go to this library? I remember it.
I mean, how
Sorry,
far
what?
is it?
You want
is-
us to journey to the south?
It's worth noting, Kaylen, that you know this is a journey of like a journey of possibly 6 months,
Oh.
unless you can charter a boat to take you there.
Yeah, no, forget that.
6 months, of course, is nothing to an elf who is also potentially undead. So
Yeah.
he's probably fine with it.
You know, I'm essentially immortal at this point.
But yes, that is the library he seems to be talking about. And if you had to guess, considering you've been there before and you know of it, he's right. That place almost certainly would probably have some record of curses and some record, perhaps, of this Lord Strahd Zarkovich and Barovia. But at the same time, very distant.
Constable, in your town, is there anyone who can send a instant message by any chance?
Instant message.
Yeah.
As in, like, I can strap one of my deputies onto a horse and send him in a direction.
Not quite that sort of message. Sort of like someone who can send a message to someone about a 6 months walk away in an instant. and get a reply in an instant.
There's no resident arch wizard in my small village of Willoughby, if that's what you're asking.
Do you know the nearest town with an archwizard?
Is there a
My
town?
city has.
Is there a town
My city has
nearby,
one.
like with resident wizards powerful enough to send instant messages somewhere?
If there is, you have no idea.
Yeah. I like shrug and I'm like, this is a simple land.
You're very helpful, aren't you?
Oh, I believe I have been.
That was sarcasm.
Yes.
Perhaps we can help you with another of your problems. You say your city was attacked. Speak wolves. These wolves, was there anything unusual about them beyond their great size?
I say, let me think about that as I sort of think back and ask the GM.
Yeah, you definitely remember hitting one over the head with a hammer and it like barely reacting. You also remember like throwing fire on it and it not particularly reacting. And you also remember like it being stabbed and cut and it also not really reacting.
These wolves seem awfully resistant to pretty much everything we threw at them. It took all four of us to take down one of these suckers.
The elder nods his head. It is as I feared. I believe your village was assaulted.
Oh, why?
Hold on a second. I believe your village was assaulted by the Pricolici.
A what?
By the who?
The Pricolici, a man or a woman cursed to take the form of a wolf under particular circumstances. Those who give in to their curse and give in to its evil nature become able to do this at will. You say men and women burned your village while the wolves attacked. That sounds like the work of Pricolici to me. Perhaps a whole pack of them. Tell me, Constable, did you confer with your villagers? Have you checked on your children?
No, I haven't.
It may be wise to go back to your village then, Constable. The Pricolici are well known by my people for stealing children to make into more of their own.
Oh dear, is that the howling that I heard in the forest?
You've heard howling in these woods?
It's what?
Yes.
Wait. No. Well, and with that, I sort of like get up and like I stand up and I say, "All right, it was a good talk, but I think we should go
Just
like right now."
Constable, hold up. I've got one last question. Enemy. Is there any known weakness to the Pricolici? Any known way to kill them?
I have heard many things. Among our people, we carry a particular type of herb called wolfsbane. We use it to protect ourselves. The Pricolici are not fond of its scent. Beyond that, I've heard rumors that the Pricolici are particularly vulnerable to a particular material, although I'm not aware of what that might be.
Okay.
I
Because
see.
you're not aware of what that might be, is there any way we can get our hands on these herbs? So
Yeah, I would very much like a sample.
when we go up against them, we're gonna need these herbs so we can fight against them more. Because, not gonna lie, I want.
The people of Barovia grow it in great quantities to protect their homes and fields.
And it's just in
But
Barovia.
from what I understand, it is not a uncommon herb outside of the lands of Barovia. Sure, if you look, find some. I
Any
can give you,
chance?
Mr. Alchemist, heard of wolf. It's mildly poisonous, and you would even, I would go so far as to say you might even be aware that it is often used specifically by less off curses.
Oh yeah, wolfsbane. Those are used for the village shamans to ward off curses and all kinds of evil creatures and spirits. They burn them with incense sticks and use the smoke to apparently purify the cursed person.
The elder nods in agreement. That is typically what is done.
Could you give me a small sample of wolfsbane? I might be able to put it to good use.
I believe we may have some here among the wagons. But before I give it to you, I must ask. You've come here and experienced my hospitality. You've heard our stories, ate our food, and drank with us, listened to our music. Before I give you Wolfsbane, I must ask you for something else in return. A trade
Please
of
do.
sorts.
Please do.
What have you in offer of our Wolfsbane?
Alchemist. Because I'm not very financially stable at this moment.
Naturally, we weren't going to leave your hospitality unpaid. I was going to offer the hospitality of my village, if and when you decide to stop there.
I don't believe we will be stopping there, Constable. If what you say about Colici is true, it is perhaps time for my people and I to be going.
If
Mountains.
if you can part with some wolfsbane for me, Stanimir, I will guarantee that your problems with the Prigalici will be fixed, and I can also promise you that the curse on the king, I'll do the best I can to help with that.
The man nods.
Fiona's
This
gonna
guy.
speak out and said,
And he says, appreciate.
Fiona's gonna speak out and said, promises don't really make good barters. Because, she's like a merchant's daughter. She's like, nobody gives stuff for promises.
That is correct.
Oh, weren't you the one who says, like, never trust anyone and promises are meant to be broken or something like that?
Constable, sometimes I feel like you should just shut your mouth.
I sort of shrugged.
I think it's talking sense.
I mean no offense by this.
Of course, if you won't take hospitality, if you won't exchange hospitality for your hospitality, then we also have gold.
I do not.
Gold could be used. We always have need of coin.
Go and give him the gold then, Constable.
1 gold piece should be enough.
I shrug. I take out my coin purse and hand him 1 gold.
Yeah, he takes the gold coin from you and he bites it with a pair of his snaggletooth teeth. And he bites it again just to make sure he tries to bend it around a little. And you can actually see teeth. It's like wiggling out of its spot in his gums. But he seems satisfied. He like pockets the coin. And then he snaps his fingers again and he motions, and two women step into another one of the covered wagons and return with a big bushel. Actually, I have to look up what wolfsbane looks like.
It's like a tall grass with like yellow, or not yellow, but purple grains, right? Or not
Yeah.
grains, but I guess bulbs.
I think so, but I don't know.
It's like this.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
Is it a grain or is it a bulb?
No,
Wolfsbane.
like
a bulb.
it's a long stem, and then sticking out from the top of the stem in like almost like a very thin cone are a bunch of very small purple flowers. They bring out like 7 or 8 strands of the stuff all bundled together and tied with twine, and they place it in your hands.
Wolfsbane, otherwise known as monk's hood. Man, monk's hood is such a cooler name. We should call it monk's hood instead.
That's fine. We can call it monk's hood if you want.
So I was curious. You said that back in Barovia, you have this bunch to prevent to save you from Prickolici. Are the Prickolici byproduct of this curse of Barovia by chance?
He actually sits back for a second and thinks, and he looks at you and he shrugs and says, "I don't know. I've never even considered it."
I mean, if that is the case, and these damnable demons are attacking the village outside the boundary of the curse, then it can only mean the curse is spreading.
Perhaps. Perhaps you are correct. And if that is the case, then these are troubled.
Nonetheless, I do think it's time for us to get going. What say you guys?
Sure, I guess. I'll take a little bit of sample of the wolfsbane for my own research.
You can take the whole thing. They're giving it to you.
Yeah, we sort of just bought it.
I think somebody else also wanted it. I'll just need it for if I can figure out something to do with it.
I mean, I think you're the only one of us who can like make it into like a paste or an oil that we can all use. So by all means, take all of it. Yeah.
All right. Are you gunning to depart from the camp?
Yes, I will bow, thank the Stanimir profusely, and after that I will get off the week.
So
Yeah.
as you guys get your stuff together and prepare to head back towards the village of Willoughby, the elder Stanimir leaves you with one parting remark. Think carefully before you enter the lands of Barovia. It is a death sentence, for certain, and I would not wish that on anyone. Think carefully, friends. And with that, you guys depart from the camp and make your way back into the now much darker, foggy woods. And surprisingly, it is not even 15 minutes of walking before you guys suddenly stumble out of the fog and find yourselves on the edge of the forest.
Wow, that was fast.
Don't you guys think that's kind of odd?
Could they be the ones who were keeping us in the forest?
Possibly.
I doubt it. I think it's the curse that's keeping us in the woods. That we were venturing too close to Barovia.
Does anyone else but me get a funny feeling that that meat wasn't just meat?
Are you feeling sick?
No. It's something about his story just doesn't sit right with me.
Alright, dude. If it was poison, I would have figured it out. I'm an alchemist.
No, think of this. He said they were little pigs, but yet all that meat from little pigs.
You're saying they're human babies. Don't be silly.
No.
You're saying that they were the Precolici.
I'm not exactly saying that, but I don't
I sort of
know what-
cursed, and I'm like,
Look,
I should have seen that.
look, Constable. I can't confirm anything, but I don't know if it's just me because of my trust issues, but something did seem kind of off with them.
Alright, before we jump to any conclusions, though, we should probably check
Yeah,
back
I
on the
agree.
village.
We should head back. Like I
Yeah.
said, it could have been under attack, and now that old man has said the same thing.
Look, now that you talk about it, if they were the Precolici, why would they give all that information out?
Yeah, they would just kill us.
Either that or they were lying the whole time and trying to throw us off.
Whatever it is, the town might still be in danger.
So-
Let's go.
Yeah, we should go back to the
Yes,
town. I need to get my supplies and stuff.
Right.
You guys make your way towards the village, and even dark as it is, you guys can see it in the distance. The lights of many of the houses are on, and a great smoke cloud hangs over it.
I'm gonna
Um,
pull out my sword.
It's not even a full 40 minutes later when you reach the outer wall of the village. The town seems strangely abandoned as you get closer. Normally, you would see, even at this time of night, under ideal circumstances, people moving about, and it's only just reached dusk. And usually, considering how packed the village is, you would expect to see some people on the streets trying to find a place to sleep for the evening. But instead, as you reach the walls of the town, instead find no one. An empty houses.
Science boy, can you figure out
You
what's going
do,
on?
however, hear voices coming from the center of the town. Considering that you can hear them from the edge, they must be speaking very loudly indeed.
Alright, maybe we should start heading towards the center of town. You guys stay behind me.
Presumably with Kaylen and the constable in the lead, you guys make your way through the empty streets of the village towards the village center. And as you turn the corner towards where once the bell tower and like village council building stood, you now find a wreckage, a ruin of the once proud bell tower collapsed and spread about like so many broken stones all over the once pristine, like like village center. The bell itself can be seen half buried under rubble.
Meh,
And
things can be replaced.
standing atop where the bell has fallen, you can make out the face of Deputy Lionel. He's holding a torch, and it looks like he's being screamed at by the crowd that surrounds him and one of the other deputies. And it also kind of looks like, even from here, that he's crying. You can clearly make out the massive form of Butch near the front of the crowd. And now that you're, finally close enough, you can tell that this is not just loud talking. This is shouting. And based on the pitchforks and torches held in the hand, this looks a lot more like a riot than it does a peaceful gathering.
Well,
Wait, sorry, what I missed?
look, there's a
And the
riot
town
going
is
on,
in
basically.
ruins.
Looking at that information, I'm gonna Sorry.
Shouts of, "Why didn't you do anything?" and "Where are our children?" can be heard echoing throughout, the empty town. And Lionel, even at this distance and with the crowd, can be heard sobbing.
Alright.
What do you wanna do?
You're too late.
I'm gonna walk up.
Oh, no.
Don't worry. Let me handle it. I'm gonna walk up next to Lionel. I'm gonna pull my sword out. I'm gonna look straight at the crowd and be like, "Get back! Calm
Wait,
the
so wait.
hell
Oh my
Before
god.
You're muscling your way past the crowd to stand next to Lionel.
Yep, and I'm gonna tell the crowd to get back, calm down, and give the guards a break before I
So you-
give them a break.
You start pushing your way through the crowd, and people don't seem to take notice of you up until the exact moment you start to climb the rubble to stand next to Lionel, and you start to pull out your sword, and you're trying to say something when someone in the crowd suddenly shouts, "It's him! It's one of the strangers! He's a part of it!"
Shut
And other
your mouth.
shout in agreement.
Okay, at this point, I also make my way through the crowd, and I sort of pat Kaylen on the shoulder. I'm like, it's probably best you sit this one out, bud.
No, don't tell me what to do. Let me handle the crowd.
All right, listen.
They're
As
not
as
gonna
much as I appreciate your help, this is my town, and it
Look.
seems like you're adding fuel to the fire other than quenching it.
Constable,
Yes.
Get fuel for the fire! Let's burn the strangers!
shut your
Oh.
mouth, civilian, before I break it.
I will say that Fiona and Balthazar, standing towards the back of the crowd, you can see a number of people like push their way out of the crowd and start making their way into the village. As someone shouts that,
Come again?
probably a bad
what's
sign.
the what did they
yeah.
shout again? What was the trigger?
That's a great idea. Let's get fuel for the fire. Let's burn the strangers.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
so
the
like
point.
at this point, I'm just like, yes. I shoot Balthazar and Lina a look that says like, you should probably make yourself scarce for the moment.
Balthazar is not like in the thick of things. He's like away sneaking. He's trying to go away from the crowd and get his donkey and his supplies. That's what he's doing.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Let me, Constable, can I get permission to entertain the crowd a bit? Trust me,
Okay, wait.
it'll be fun. Trust me, please, please, please.
Don't. All right, you have one chance. Don't kill anybody.
Okay, I'm
What
gonna
did you-
climb down.
What did you want to
I'm
have before you tell that to me? What did you
Never
want to
mind.
ask me?
Wait, are the crowd still trying to move away?
Some of them are. A few of them have pulled away from like the mass at the center and have like run off into the village together. You suspect probably to grab firewood. But most of the people are still here.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna
While
look at the crowd.
while Kaylen is attempting to pacify the crowd, I'm going to go over to Lionel and ask him what the fuck is happening.
Okay. Kaylen, why don't you tell me what you're going to do to try and mollify the crowd, and we will handle the conversation
I'm
with
gonna,
Lionel.
I'm gonna sheath my weapon to look less intimidating. I'm gonna go right in front of the crowd and go, look, you want to add fuel to the fire? You want to burn the strangers? How about you start with me? I dare all of you to
Holy
burn me.
cow.
Will you
I
roll
dare
an intimidation check?
Yes, I will.
Make it with disadvantage, please.
Alright, yeah, that's fine. I can do that. Intimidation.
11.
The crowd looks at you and is quiet for a moment, and then someone from the back shouts, "Yeah, let's burn him first!" And a bunch of other people shout in agreement, "Yeah, it's a great idea!"
Okay, but if you're gonna do it, you're gonna need to follow me to the edge of the town, so we're not in the middle of town, so you don't burn the town. Is that a reasonable idea?
I like.
Bruce is the man who steps forward, and he looks at you and he says, "Listen, I understand you're trying to be reasonable. I get that. I appreciate it too, considering the circumstances. But these people are serious. They're gonna burn you alive."
Bruce, I'm serious too. Burn me alive. Just
Okay.
Fiona's gonna use.
out of character, real quick. Like, I get what you're trying to do, Damien, but I mean, like, logically speaking, What do you think has happened to a furious crowd that's mad with crazy with superstitious fears?
Dude,
What do you think that they're going to do when they
They're
try
gonna
and
burn.
burn someone?
Here's the
And
thing.
then
No, but they're gonna try and burn someone, but they're not gonna die. So what do you think they'll like? Do you think that'll pacify them, or do you think that'll
Is
make
that
them
their
even
goal?
more crazy?
Here's the
It'll-
thing, though. If you get burned into ash,
No, it
how the hell
doesn't-
do you come back from that?
Yeah, no, like it doesn't matter. I get what you're trying to go for. Like, I don't think that's gonna work.
If you come back for the second time, they're gonna burn you and put holy water in there, so that you, or maybe bless it with the priest, so you don't come back.
Guys,
I'm relying on the logic
No.
that they're not gonna understand and be smart enough to do that.
listen. No need to defend your actions. If you would like to incite this crowd to burn you first, I, as the GM, am
Yeah,
more than
listen
happy
to that
to
happiness
accommodate
in
you.
his voice. Do you really want to do it? But yeah,
I'm essentially trying to distract the crowd.
I figured, and that's fine. And they are distracted because they have started to they're going to grab their burning supplies. A good portion have walked away to go grab wood to, a proper stake to burn you at. And Bruce is really trying his hardest here. He puts a hand on your shoulder. He's like, "Listen, I'm not superstitious to the extent of some of the people here. I saw you, and I saw the constable, and I know you guys are trying your hardest. And you went out with him, and if he says you're fine, I might not like the man, but I trust him. I don't think you need to get burned. I don't think trying to tell this crowd that you should get burned first is going to help.
Bruce,
They're looking for something to burn."
look, listen, Bruce. If I have to get burned for the crowd to be controlled, then I'll do it. Anything to put the pressure off the constable, because right now they're beating on the guards verbally, blaming the guards for something they didn't do. They're trying their hardest.
That's fine. I'm just putting that here. This is maybe I don't know where you're from, but around here, typically speaking, in terms of danger and things people are supposed to put themselves out there for, we generally put verbal bombardment beneath burned at the stake.
Look,
I'm just saying.
Bruce, I'm gonna tell you my two options, and I want you to tell me what I should do. It's either kill them all, or let them burn me.
Oh
So
my
which
god,
should I do?
that's a fantastic thing to say. To okay.
Bruce looks at you and he gives you a really hard look for a second, and then he nods his head and he says, "You're right. We should let him burn you." And he pats you on the back and he makes his way back into the crowd.
I'm gonna.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna
So we're gonna-
This guy is. Oh my god. Okay.
I'm
so
We're gonna come back to you in just a minute. We're gonna come back to you in just a minute. So, Constable John, you've made your way over to the crying Lionel Lemonlore. His face is covered with soot, and the only parts of it that aren't blackened with smoke are where the tears have run down his face.
All right, Lionel, what the fuck is going on?
All the children are gone, boss. Every one of them.
I nod grimly and I'm like,
What's going on? I was so distracted trying to put out the fire and ringing the bells. I didn't even see him take all the kids.
It's as I feared then. All right, anything else?
They said they think that we were the ones who let him in. They said we didn't do our job as gods, but I swear, I did my best. I came and got your own way. There's nothing we could do.
I sort of pat Lionel on the shoulder and it's all right, kid. You did good. You did good. It wasn't your fault.
He kind of sniffles a little bit, and you can see it's not crying quite as hard. He looks over to you and he says, "You sure, Constable? I'm not so sure myself."
It's all right, it's all right, Deputy. I know the cause of it. It wasn't your fault. We're gonna deal with it now. You understand me?
Deal with it how?
I hear the big sigh and I'm like, but I'm not so sure myself at the moment. But it's definitely not inciting the crowd to madness. One issue at a time, I suppose.
You gotta put the crowd down, boss. You gotta clear things up.
Oi. Yeah, no.
He sniffles again, and he like straightens up a little bit, and he like adjusts his armor, and he says, "What can I do, boss? What do you need to make things right?"
Just follow me. Don't say a word. We'll talk to the crowd and sort this out. All right?
All right, boss. I'll trust you. So we're gonna cut away for just a second. On the other side of town, our friendly alchemist has returned to the tavern where he left his cart and mule.
Yeah.
As you arrive at the tavern, you realize that there is a problem. The tavern is a smoldering ruin. And the stable where you left your beloved mule and where you had presumably parked your cart, nowhere to be seen. Not that if it had been there, you would be able to see it, as it probably would have, turned to ash. The place is really at this point nothing more than blackened timbers and, the leftover ash of the fire.
Oh no, Goldie! And saying that, he will try to.
You named your donkey Goldie? Nice.
Yeah. So, nothing really valuable in the cart. Mostly like food supplies and extra like clothes and stuff. But he's like, oh, God. But he's like worried about donkeys. Can you like find any donkey marks, like that he escaped, or maybe have like a carcass or something that's like burned down or something?
Throw me a perception check.
Okay.
Also, Dusk, your mic is a little bit scratchy at the moment.
Wow.
So-
Yeah.
You start digging through the ashes, pulling back beams where the barn was. You pull one back and you look down and you see the charred remains of what is definitely a donkey. I mean, it's mostly, honestly, if we're being real here, like the blackened outline of a thoroughly charred donkey. But
Yeah.
in your heart, you're
No, Goldie, why?
No, Goldie! I should have untied you before I left. Oh no! This is not good. I lost my donkey. I lost my cart. Shit! I just only have my backpack. This is not good. Rip the dreams of my own shop. And it was kind of a bit panicked and feeling a bit miserable. But at this point, if he sees nothing else that kind of shows him that his donkey or his cart may be like a lot like intact or something, he'll try to get away from this village.
Okay. Yeah, with nothing clearly visible here, heartbroken and alone in this world once again, you make your way to the edge of the village, presumably to wait for your companions and see what to do next. And definitely away from the crowd. I'll even give you that as you make your way back, you see some of the people like going into houses and coming out with like rusty looking old blades and like stacks of firewood and rope. And as an alchemist and a man of science, you've seen a witch burning or two in your lifetime. And you know what it's about.
No, you don't call them witch burning. You call them warlock burning.
Hey.
You call them dangerous magic, subversive magic user burnings.
Especially, I mean, nobody really wants to differentiate between the fiend warlock or a celestial warlock. A warlock is a witch.
Yeah, a male witch.
Nobody really wants to like. really no one can decide the difference between like a warlock and a wizard and a sorcerer. For being honest, magic is magic to your average commoner, and unless you tell them that a god's doing it, you're probably going to get burned. Just
Yeah,
you know, it is what it is.
priest and paladin is fine, but otherwise, yeah.
But honestly,
maybe
like,
a wizard, maybe if they can explain it, but a sorcerer,
it's in the
hell no.
opposite direction, actually. It's not necessarily that they burn witches, because witches, there are plenty of good witches out there, and people realize that. And there are plenty of magic users out there who are just fine. People have no issue with, right? The real issue is when magic users use their powers for things people consider evil. And more important than that, and the reason I think you've seen a couple of burnings in your lifetime, is when they find heretics, people who doing things they believe are against the gods, and that just happens to include a lot of the time, you know, some of the things you might have to do in the name of, I don't know, science. Just putting it out there.
Right.
But yeah, you make your way to the edge of the village, where you presumably go to wait for your companions. Fiona, standing at the edge of the crowd, you watch as, for some reason, Kaylen like steps forward and starts like inciting them. What do you want to do while all that's going on? What
Well,
are you up
she's
to?
wondering how to silence all the people up. She's they're still making a lot of noises, right?
Yes.
She's going to try. Well, she doesn't know what to do, so she's going to try and cause a very use her minor illusion to cause a very blood curling scream from the middle of the crowd.
Good.
Yeah, she's gonna
Do it. So we're gonna cut away real quick over to Kaylen and to the constable. Constable, you've just stepped up to where Kaylen's standing, and you're about to address the crowd, and they are like talking amongst themselves rather loudly. When suddenly, in like the dead center of the crowd, there is a blood-curdling scream. You've heard a scream like that only once before in your life, and the only unsolved murder this village has ever had, the one that sometimes haunts you in your sleep. And you know, everyone in the crowd goes dead silent, and you know, starts to look around with like a wild panic on their face. And someone in the back screams, "Oh, they're back! Oh, they're back!"
Uh-oh.
I look out. What do I see?
You don't see
If you
anything.
look at Fiona,
I don't
she
see anything.
probably has the uh-oh, what now kind of look.
I'm gonna like look at them, and I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, they're back. They're back. You better start running then, shouldn't you? They're back. Go on, run."
Will you roll intimidation, but with advantage this time?
Okay,
Nice.
20.
No,
Nice.
By the gods! By the gods! They're back! And people in the crowd scatter. The only people actually left in the crowd are Butch and his boys, and like a handful of what you would guess to be perhaps the braver men of the village, who have thrown down their torches and started to pick up like rocks or chunks of logs. Butch himself reaches down and he picks up like a whole beam from one of the buildings. He's holding it in his hands. He's looking around
Fiona's
wildly.
gonna run up to Jon and Kaylen, and she's going to ask them, "Was that better?"
Yeah,
She's
what?
gonna ask, "Is that
I'm
better?"
gonna point my. Yeah. It
Were
was.
you behind that?
Kinda.
Thank you. I'm gonna point my sword at Butch and be like, "What are you doing?"
I'm looking for them damn people who's burning our village, stealing our kids.
Butch,
Kaylen, put your
settle
damn sword away.
what the hell, dude. Hey, it's not a sword, it's a pointing tool. There's a difference. It's only a sword when you're using it to hurt people.
Right.
I thought as a
Okay.
guard you would know this.
Kaylen, I thought I said Why are you inciting the crowd further?
I don't know, because it's fun.
I mean, at this point, there is no crowd.
Yeah,
Hi,
Exactly.
thanks to Lina.
Fiona.
but thanks,
Alright.
Fiona.
Thanks
You're
to Fiona, yes.
You remind me of a little girl, and I think it's cute.
Wait, who are you talking that to?
Right.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you remind me of a little sister.
Oh,
It's
I
cute.
guess I should thank you.
Okay.
And she's gonna say, "You remind me nothing of my brother."
Alright, so
Because your brother's a pussy.
so what was I gonna say? Fuck. Right. Alright. So alright. So I sort of evaluate the scene, see that people have sort of lost their superstitious driven crazed fervor, and I sort of like call out to Butch, and I'm like, all right, it seems everyone's calmed down a little bit. Why don't you call everyone back to the town square so I can address them for real this time? We're back, by the way.
Is there no attack then?
No attack, false alarm.
He squints at you in confusion, and he throws the beam down. He says, "Right, I guess I'll go around and get people then."
Yeah, but don't tell them. Otherwise, they'll go back to their riot. So, just tell them that. Don't tell them that there was no threat. Just tell them that the threat's been dealt with by the very nice person with the sword and shield. That they're
Right,
gonna
right.
murder.
I'll be sure to do exactly that. And
Yeah,
he
just
shoots
tell
you, John.
Fiona's gonna add.
I sort of just like shake my head in defeat. I'm just like, fucking, just let this guy talk. He's no harm.
Okay. Butch nods his head, and then he snaps his fingers, and the men all look to him, and he explains the situation to them, tells them what to do, and they disperse. And as they leave, like a bunch of people actually just show right back up, and they're carrying like firewood and torches and like swords. They got this really happy look on their face. But then they look around in confusion. They see there's no one there, and they're like, "Oh, damn it! Don't tell me they started the burden without us."
There's no burden today, folks. Just drop the wood and gather round. And
Don't
at that
tell me
point, I
I had
also
to carry out all this wood here, and there's not even going to be a burning.
there's no burden today, folks. Maybe in a little bit, but we'll address that as it comes.
God damn it! And the man throws down his wood and his torch, and like the torch, sputters out, and he just kind of sullenly makes his way over, and he sits down on one of the wet rocks, and everyone else just kind of drops their stuff in a pile too, and then make their way over to wait.
Fiona's gonna ask the guy.
No
And
one
with
is happy.
that,
Can I ask
I
the
also
Haven't your town burned enough today?
correct.
He looks at you, and he thinks about it for a second. Will you throw me a persuasion roll?
1 second.
Get wrecked.
Where is persuasion? Okay, it looks like percussion. Nice.
The man nods his head in agreement. Oh, that has been. Suppose I just got a little carried away. But you can't blame me, can you? It's not often you get to burn a man alive.
She pats him on the shoulder and say, there.
Hey, you want to know a little spoiler, Butch?
But Butch is gone.
Right.
It's like maybe 10 minutes later when the crowd has reformed, much calmer this time. Actual torches as opposed to torches and pitchforks.
Okay.
People are
in the
nervous.
meantime, I'd like to just like ask my party to just sort of stand off to the side and make themselves look inconspicuous?
No can do. Sorry, amigo.
Alright. Let's be reasonable about this. They want something to burn, and you're asking for it. So let's just try and calm everyone down first, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Hey, Constable, can I ask you a question?
You're asking? Okay, go ahead.
Can you burn fire?
Isn't fire already burning?
Exactly.
So
Well,
the villagers have mostly assembled. There are people standing around. You do note, I will add, that there are actually children in the crowd, quite a number of them, in fact. And you can actually hear, I'll say, the people on the edges, so probably Fiona, and I guess that's it, because Balthazar is waiting on the edge of town. They all, you hear specifically that they're concerned about 7 or 8 children who just are gone. But the crowd, there's like this nervous energy. People are scared. They're sad. They're many of them angry, but more scared at this point. Kaylen, you guys are standing at the center. You've got Lionel at your back, and one of the other deputies, we'll say Deputy Tay. They watch the two of you and wait to see how this goes down. How do you want to address the crowd?
Okay, well,
all right. John just shoots you a look and says, like, I think you've done enough for today. And
Constable,
he
you
steps
wanna
forward to
keep-
speak.
You wanna keep them happy, so don't say anything that'll make them concerned or nervous or scared.
How do you want to address?
As I step forward to speak, and I say, all right, folks, I'll be straight with you. We've got some good news. We've got some bad news, and we also have a solution as to what we're going to do about it.
Where are our kids?
We'll address that. We know this. The good news is we know where the kids have gone.
Everybody looks up hopeful at you.
The bad news is chances are they were taken into Barovia.
There is an actual like a wail of despair, and you watch as a woman in the crowd just collapses into the arms of the people behind her. And where before people were there's a hopeful look in everyone's eyes, it is instantly transformed into despair.
This is exactly what I meant.
But I do have a solution.
What's that?
Took them, and we know where they are. And therefore, I am going to go get them back.
There is a surprised gasp from the crowd. And actually Lionel steps forward and he puts a hand on your shoulder and he says, you, Constable, you're going into Barovia?
That's right. We're going to get our kids back.
People are nervously muttering to themselves and talking in the crowd, and you can hear things like, "It's a madman," or "It's a death wish. We're never going to see those kids again."
I'm
do you wanna-
gonna step forward with my sword. I'm gonna throw it in the air, and I'm gonna be like, and I am going to help the constable. We are going to do it. Go to Barovia, get you your children back, and rid this land of any infestation. You hear me, people?
So I'm just putting it out there, but if this was, if I was,
But you throw your sword up in the
if I
air.
was writing this game in the style of a mid to late 2000s, action horror game, there would be a QTE where you needed to catch that sword, and if you failed it, you'd get one of the best game
No, I'm
overs.
not
The
literally
sword just
throwing
lands in your
it.
head.
Yeah.
Talking
This whole-
about Indigo Prophecy.
He's doing that Musketeers move.
Yes, that.
Wait, what?
I'm not literally throwing the sword.
Raising the sword.
Figuratively throwing it.
He's putting it above his head, is
Yeah.
what I'm hearing. Like, throwing his arm up.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I will admit, I personally prefer the throwing it up and it just landing blade first on the top of your head, and you just continue to talk anyways. The
That's
ultimate
it.
reveal of your undead
It-
nature.
Game
Yeah,
over.
it would bother me.
But yes, the crowd doesn't they look at you, and some people are like, "That's the guy who's gonna help," and someone else says, "Isn't he the one who was trying to get himself burned a few minutes ago?" And someone else in the crowd says, "I mean, at least he's trying." How else do you want to continue the speech?
I wanna look at them and be like, look, looks can be deceiving. Very noble birthed, good hearted man. And your constable here seems to know where he's going with things, but doesn't quite know how to get there. So I'm here to help him out. And we, together, as a team, will get you all of your children back in good condition. We will make sure they are safe and sound, and so you don't have to worry about anything coming to the village and wrecking your village ever again. Do you hear me?
A couple people, you can hear him talking amongst themselves. Someone says, "Noble birth. I guess that explains why he's such a weirdo." The people seem to be okay with this decision. They aren't super excited, and it doesn't look like it instilled any extra confidence. But they're not against you going to save their kids.
Constable, help me out here.
Everything's gonna be alright. I know the town's in dire straits, but you know what they say about a forest fire is that it creates the fertile soil for the forest to be grown anew. And I know that you are a strong and sturdy people. I say, sweeping my eyes across the crowd. I know that we are tough and we can persevere through any trials that come our way. And I point out to some random guy in the crowd, and I'm like, Wilson, just last month your house burned down, and what did we do? The town came together and rebuilt it. Isn't that right?
It's true. We did.
And I say, and I point to another woman, and I say, Jenna, just last year, when your poor child fell ill with the flu, what did we do? We sent our fastest horse with our best rider on it and went from town to town asking for doctors. And did we bring one back?
We did. We did.
That's right. And so in conclusion, I say, we are the town of Willoughby, and we can persevere.
Yeah! Woo! People are cheering in the crowd. They are inspired. Lionel has actually started to tear up again, but this time from civic pride.
And as on cue, I take Lionel and shove him forward, and I say, and when I'm gone, Lionel is the acting constable. Do you hear me?
Oh,
People
oh no.
here, everyone's so excited. Lionel looks at you with shock on his face.
I sort of just look at him with you've got this sort of look.
Can Fiona cast light on his armor? Sort of make him shine a bit.
Absolutely.
Glow with the light of the celestials.
Absolutely. Lionel begins glow, not just with confidence, but like literally with an unearthly, heavenly glow. And people are like just losing their minds. They're so into this. And Lionel, he looks at you and he looks at you hard in the eye. And for the very first time, Constable John, you don't just see a silly boy trying his hardest to please you. You see a man staring back, and he says, I'll do my best, Constable. You can count on it.
I
All
know
right.
you will.
We're going to end that scene there.
So inspiration point for this awesome RPG.
Absolutely. Darren, give yourself an inspiration point. I'm going to get actual inspiration tokens here in the future, but for now, just mark it on your little spot
Nice.
above your stat line.
You do?
You spent
Okay.
on it. We're going to barter with you guys a lot, and I don't like 8 points, but that. So we're going to reopen this. Went and spoke to and told him the news. Cleared a spot for you guys in one of the houses and gave you, food and supper and, drink and everything. And they made sure you guys were comfortable so you could rest before you head out. And they provide you guys with supplies. Each one of you can add a week's worth of rations and a water skin that is. I will say that at some point, your wife comes to speak with you, John. She provides you with a that she has been like hiding away. She's going to give it to you on her birthday, but
Nice.
the next morning, and you guys stand at the edge of the village. The four of you all kitted out in your gear, packs on your back, there's sheaths, and a good night's rest under your belt. And you stand at the edge of the village, and the villagers watch on and smile at you guys and wave you off. Everyone's so excited. And as you guys are getting ready to set out on the path towards Barovia, through the Zvalage woods and into the Barovian mountains, before you take a step, Lionel comes forward, pushing his way through the crowd, and leading with him a very familiar sight. Oh, wait just a minute. You there, stranger. You left this behind. I didn't ask, but the village was burning, and I needed anything I could get. Really helped me out putting out the fires. I couldn't thank you enough for it. He's a real good boy. And there, behind him, being led by his reins, is Goldie.
Goldie!
Pulling your cart.
I will hug Goldie, and I'll say, "Oh, Goldie, you're here. Thank God." But after that, I get a sudden realization, and I say that I think Goldie should stay here. If in case Balthazar doesn't come back, he doesn't want Goldie to die a miserable death in Barovia. So he looks at Lionel and say, "You know what? You keep Goldie. You take good care of him. Care of her. She's a good girl. She can do a lot of work, but you treat her well, and she'll be faithful. I think I got most of the stuff I need right on my back, and I'll be fine."
Oh, I'll take good care of her, sir. And he gives you a salute, the kind of salute he'd normally only give the constable. He says, I'll make sure she's happy and well-fed, healthy, and waiting for your return.
See you soon.
All right. And with that, you guys depart the village, perhaps for the final time, and make your way into the Zvalage woods. And that, I think, is where we're going to end the session for today.
Yay!
Does that work for you
Thank
guys?
you,
Yeah.
DM.
Yay.
Sure. You guys can go ahead and level up. So you are level 2 now.
Sweet.
Nice.
So be level 2 and have that prepared by the next session.
Oh yeah.
So as always, I will ask comments, questions, criticisms, or concerns. Anything you guys want to talk about? What do you think?
Yeah.
I think it was a nice way to like set up the start of the game. I actually I actually thought that when we went there we were like gonna get trapped in like sucked into Barovia, but it's nice that we got to actually go back, tied the loose ends, and then we came back.
I mean, I was willing to let you guys just walk into
God.
Barovia right away if you wanted to keep going forward.
When he mentioned about the trees changing, I got a bit of a heart attack. But thankfully.
The coin was in my favor.
Wow.
It's
I'll be
I'm
keeping
not
that coin. That's my
I'm
lucky
not
coin
saying
from
that.
now on.
I'm not saying that for sure saved your lives, but I am definitely saying that it probably helped you out in the long term quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean we
Anything
got
else?
more food and stuff. So
We got food,
Anything
we
else?
got a little bit of information and
DM, can
backstory.
you also type down what we actually got? Because it was kind of fuzzy for me for a second there.
Yeah, I'll
Alright.
put it in the chat for you
Okay.
guys.
Anyway, I'm gonna start recording now. Thank you.